All right, welcome everyone to our session today. We're coming back from our code session, and we have action to report out. Item 3D, liability claim. The board took action in closed session today by unanimous vote to reject a claim filed by a claimant against Orinda Union School District. And then we also have item 3F, public employee appointment, title, principal of Orinda Intermediate School, Andrea Powers. The board took action in closed session today by unanimous vote to appoint Andrea Powers as new principal of the Intermediate School. The appointment will begin July 1st, 2025. Yay.
Present you with our new principal for OIS. We had a very robust, very diverse interview process, and we're so happy that Andrea is joining us. So
Yeah,
congratulations.
thank you very much. I'm really excited. Go Bulldogs.
Your family's here.
Yes, my family is here, my husband is here, and I have my twins here and my other daughter who just made it in time. So 3 kids, all in middle school. So
There we go.
let's read it.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm very excited. Thank you. All right, thank you.
I'll stand and do the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will turn it over to
Right. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. You're all here to celebrate. We have 2 retirees here present, a small but mighty group. We're recognizing 4 folks today. And so with that, let's begin. The district is proud to recognize and celebrate our outstanding teachers who are retiring from the Orinda Union School District. And we extend our heartfelt gratitude to each of you for your exceptional dedication, impactful teaching, and unwavering commitment to the students of Orinda. This may be the end of one chapter, but it's the beginning of a new adventure where every day is Saturday. So with that, let's begin here. Bridget Goodwin isn't able to be present with us today, but she's celebrating 26 years with the district, starting in 1999. So think of that, before the turn of the century, Bridget was here. Instructional support provider at Wagner Ranch. She finished her years at Wagner Ranch. And what we remember about Bridget, if we needed a teacher who knew Slingerland or was Orton Gillingham trained, Bridget was the one. So thank you, Bridget, for your 26 years of service to our students receiving special education services. Mr. Pickett. I don't know if I ever called him wrong. Music teacher, 29 years, considerably before the 20th century. I'm one of those also, so I can use that with love and respect. A favorite memory that Mr. Pickett shared with us is the programs I was able to create that spread to other schools in the district, bring fond memories. The Spring Sing, after-school drama productions, ensemble singers. At the very first Spring Sing at Orinda, we had no NPR, so it was under construction. So we had our concert on the upper playground. Families brought picnic lunches and sat on the lawn. I had shoulder-length hair and wore jeans and a jumper. Mr. Ron. Gail, please come on up. Continue to join us here. Gail shared memory with us. She's, this is 20 years for Gail, started here in 2005, first grade teacher at Wagner Ranch. And a favorite memory Gail shared with us. On the first day of school, I invite the parents to come in with their child. Once the children are settled, I have the children bid their parents goodbye and meet me on the drive to begin our day with the story. On this particular day, I looked out and the students were all gathered and ready to begin. I looked out the window and 3 heads popped up to peek in the window. 3 parents had tiptoed through the garden to peek in at their unsuspecting. If you'd like to hear some words.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I always said to Dale, and we've only known each other a couple of years, I wish I had started my journey in education much sooner, so I could have been along for the ride and seen much more of your greatness at Wagner Ranch. But it's been an honor to experience the last 2 years of it. And thanks for having me along. I have a few things I'd like to say, but more importantly, some comments from your peers, which I'm sure will be much more impactful considering the time you spent with them. First of all, I think you could write a textbook on classroom structure and protocol. But every time I come in, I usually come in at the same time every day. If you're my first classroom one on my grounds, it is so reliable and so consistent, so kind, so loving. The students know they're under your nurturing care. And it's like that from moment one to the very end. So thank you. You're also very committed to creating an inclusive classroom climate, and that also goes out to our school community. We all feel your dedication. You make us want to be better. And then finally, your relationship with your parents it's really outstanding. They turn to you for advice, for mentorship, for leadership. So thank you. But more importantly, your colleagues. So this is from Mrs. Shania. You've been a gift to so many students and families and to our entire staff as well. Not only have your students benefited from your wisdom and gentle leadership, but your colleagues have as well. Mrs. O'Neill, what an asset you have been to Wagner Ranch over the years, always with a level head and such wisdom and good insights you brought to the profession. We were lucky you decided on a second career. And from Mrs. Headley, all of Wagner Ranch, and especially first grade, has been incredibly fortunate to learn from you. I know every teacher fortunate to work with you has learned more about dedication to best practices, patience, and finding joy with children. I will miss you and also wish you restful days with friends and your sweet family. Congratulations on your retirement. Thanks for your service. Done.
Thank you.
Thank you all. If you could come on up, please. 5 years, 2000. Second grade teacher Sleepy Hollow. Vicki also shared a favorite memory. One of my favorite things was coming home in the evening and regaling my family with stories from the classroom. I'd love to write a book. You do have to write that book. I love the fairly new tradition of the high school clap around at the elementary schools. It's just lovely to see how the beautiful young adults that we all knew as little kiddos, when they shyly stop in the classroom and say hi and thank you, it means so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, Patsy will say a few words.
I will say a few words, and I'm going to read them because if I don't, I will not make it through the end. So here we go. We're going to try and do this together. I know. I don't even think I can start. Okay, it's been 25 years, and I was along for the very beginning of your ride. So it's well into that 20th century. 21st. Here we go. Vicki, you have had a remarkable 25-year journey. And it's been defined by hundreds, if not thousands, of meaningful moments. You are the kind of teacher who understands that it's often the smallest gestures that have the biggest impact. And there are countless favorite small moments that come to mind. I've asked staff, and they really had way more than what I have time to share. But a couple of them I will share tonight. One, when we all were coming back February of 2021, and we all had masks on. It didn't matter. Your smile just popped right through the mask. So endearing, and really let students know that they were coming to the right place. And we couldn't be more excited because of your enthusiasm. But that was a really favorite memory for most of us, a lot of us, all of us. And then the other small moment happens at the beginning of every school year. Every school year, Vicki finds, thinks about something small yet poignant and puts it in our mailboxes. And it just buoys all of us and sets us up for success for the rest of the year. And I won't describe the most recent memory, but it just happened this afternoon. And we'll just leave it at that. More and more small memories to come. Year after year, you've brought magic to your classroom, from the unforgettable and annual Gingerbread Village to the hilarious Beowulf play. You give your students more than just academics. You give them memories, the kind that stick. It's easy to measure a career in years, but Vicky's legacy is measured in moments, both big and small, that make your students feel seen and your colleagues feel supported and your school feel at home. So thank you, Vicky, for making every moment matter. You will be deeply missed, but not for long, because you'll be coming back as a volunteer and creating more meaningful moments.
All right. Ellen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ely, and congratulations to all of you.
Yeah, congratulations and thank you. You've impacted so many people's lives. It's hard to put price on that. Thank you.
Yeah, we're such a lucky district to have, folks with this tenure in the state committee for so long. And yeah, I told everybody is going to get a very deserved rest. But again, we were very lucky to have you here, and thank you so much for all these years.
I would just like to say it's just been a pleasure, both of you coming into your classroom all these years and just seeing, the work that you do and the students' lives that you touch. And I'm getting all emotional. I really appreciate you. So thank you.
And all I get to reiterating what the other board members have said, just the lasting impact that you've had on this community and your decades of service. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Very small and very mighty group of our staff members. I'm here to also recognize another mighty group. And I will say that I want to start at last month, our board passed a resolution recognizing public school volunteers. And it was our first time bringing a resolution such as that to the board. And some of those items, and I have the resolution in front of me that were stated in there was that the success of our students and schools is greatly enhanced by the invaluable contributions of dedicated public school volunteers. And then we also stated and recognized that the volunteers across our districts give generously of their time, talent, resources to support our students, teachers, staff, and school programs. And we also honored that our volunteers serve in wide varieties of roles, inside and beyond the classrooms, in the lunchrooms, in the hallways, in the fundraising rooms, everywhere. And you're supporting learning and you're serving on committees and you're creating a strong sense of community. And the reality is that without our volunteers, our schools in Orinda would not be the schools that they are. So that's what we're here to recognize. Six very mighty, incredible parent volunteers who truly exemplified these attributes and so many more. So we are incredibly fortunate. Our schools are for your dedication and support of our parent communities. And there isn't a part of our schools or one child who's not affected by that generosity of our parents. So these parents work tirelessly to ensure our campuses feel and are amazing, that our students feel included, that are connected, and that are supported, that our staff has the materials, curriculum, that all of our parents feel like they belong in our school community. So we just want to say thank you for the hours, there's so many hours and your commitment that you have put into our schools. I hope you truly know how much we appreciate every single one of you. So, and you're selected here because some of you are leaving and moving on into some other roles. I actually think that most of you are staying on in some other roles. So maybe you'll be here recognized again. And I'm so grateful that you're staying on. So with that, we're going to recognize, if you can move on 2 slides over. Thank you. We're recognizing 6 parents. We're recognizing our outgoing parent club presidents. And we're recognizing a poised director who's up front. So with that, I'm going to ask our principals to come up and speak about the parents. So we're going to go in reverse alphabetical order, something we haven't done before. So Mr. Acosta Vapraskis, can you please come up and speak about incredible Morgan Tarr, our outgoing parent, our president for Wagner Ranch. Come on up. Okay.
Few words about Morgantown. So first of all, we want to celebrate your presidency for 23, 24, and 24, 25 school year. I remember whenever I first joined the Wagner team, it was this time a school board meeting, and everybody said, you got to talk to Morgan. If you want to know Wagner Ranch, talk to Morgan. And Morgan was very, very generous with her time to share with me all about the values, the beliefs, and the traditions of Wagner Ranch. And you still continue to instill those in me to make sure they live on at school. That's my first appreciation for you. I also know that you take very great care of other Wagner Ranch families. I know that you're seen as a mentor in the community and a connector, and a lot of families reach out to you for support on how to support their children, gain resources, connect with the ranch. So you put people together, but you do that selflessly because you care about your community. And then the third thing is your volunteerism. You are at the school weeknights, weekends, holidays, summer, nonstop, countless hours, as I mentioned, in service of our school. You put in the time, you literally roll up your sleeves and paint our walls and pick up trash and arrange that parent storage unit on our playground. It's quite hot in the heat, looking other ways, but you do it for the love of our school. So I just want to say that you're very appreciated and your service has been very impactful. And we look forward to you serving our school in different roles. So congratulations on your presidency.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Morgan. And now, sweet Sleepy Hollow, who will recognize Virginia.
So I'm going to talk about showing up. And it sounds like a pretty simple thing, but it really actually takes a lot of dedication and commitment. And that is what I would say about Nikki. You show up. It was about 2 years ago when you started showing up to these pass along, this incoming newbie, and Lynn's just smiling. Yeah. We were wrapping up the ends of this multi-purpose room project. And I think about those years, a couple years ago when it's a pretty big project and you just jumped right in and really were always asking, what is it that we need? What is it that you need? How can we be supportive? And so from that point on, you have never let that die. You continue to ask, what do we need? We finished up the multi-purpose room. We had this lovely ribbon cutting ceremony. We ended up that year with a beautiful mural. We ended up that second year going into moving 10 classrooms, no small feat, with a lot of support, and moved the BASC as well. Also started a whole BASC program. Again, you're always showing up, always wondering what is it that we can do. And then the tail end of this year, we've been working tirelessly for that garden project that hopefully will launch soon. And you, again, show up for any of those kinds of conversations. So I, from the bottom of my heart and all of Sleepy Hollow, we're so grateful for your attention to detail and questions and curiosity, and then just showing up. And like others, we're excited that you will not be going, kind of just be changing your role. So we appreciate the co-presidency role, but look forward to seeing you in the agency too. So congratulations, thank you.
You got this? Okay, I think we have a very eager young lady right there. Megan? Yeah. So, I'll say.
I thought O was next.
Well, we're doing
Oh, okay.
Really, I just, I'm sorry, I'm like, hi. I cannot say thank you enough. Stacy and I both started together at Orinda. So we did a lot of like learning. And like she started her presidency when I started my principalship. And I can't thank you enough for just your partnership and just listening and really coming together with the vision and the vision of, you know, our two things that Parents Club or GPC does is really build community at Glorietta, which we're so proud of. And the other one is supporting the school in all kinds of ways, whether it be like texting me on the weekend that the umbrellas have flown over and we need to have somebody go and pick them up, or whatever it is we need. So I can't thank you enough for that and the partnership that you have given to the school. And I'm so excited because we also have another TK. So we get Stacey for a very long time. And we're probably gonna plug her in some other way to help out. But just the support that you've given and everything. And I have to say, when we first started in 23, 24, I think we were both like quiet at the table and meetings and everything. And to see your voice come and really be an advocate and as much as you've learned for Glorietta, it's been impressive and I'm just so grateful for that. So thank you so much. Yes. Stephanie.
Well, I certainly appreciate the opportunity to thank Stephanie and Clinical in this place and space. Jack, Luke, and Kate, I know you know how amazing your mom is, but I hope you know how much we recognize everything she does for all of us at Delray. Stephanie is a former teacher, so she's got that teacher lens, and she's all about support for our teachers and our staff. And she always comes from that angle of like, how can I help? What do you need? From things like our TKK playground that is breaking down this summer. She has been fully vested in spending lots of effort and giving really good insight and input into all of that very long process. But we're excited to see the outcome of that process, and we're so excited that Stephanie has been a part of that. Something that I know Aida has mentioned and all of my colleagues have mentioned as well about their parent leads, but I really value and appreciate how much Stephanie is a connector from our parent families to our school community. She really truly is this like genuine kind bridge for our new families, existing families, and helping them kind of weave into the fabric of all the magic that is Delray. And she does it with kindness, she does it with a lens of inclusion, and really making sure that everyone belongs when they are at Delray. Means a lot to us because as our mission is at Delray, everyone belongs to life at high levels. And it's really special to us that our parent needs really reflect that in their actions and in their involvement at school. So Stephanie, I know you're not going anywhere because once you're in, you're in. It's here. And we really look forward to continuing to partner with you. I know she's going to be cheering on our incoming co-presidents as well. Thank you, really, truly thank you for everything listening.
Okay, we have a middle school, Stacy, come on up, and we have a Lynn.
Well, I want to kind of echo what all the principals said and what Aida said about our parents. It's unmatched, like no other community. And Lynn knows that if I ever start my own business, she's coming with me to start a business. She's like her positive energy. She's solution oriented, helpful, creative, cheerful. She has a sharp wit and a keen sense, and she's a people person. And I wrote you a poem.
Oh, this is the best. Yes.
She's smart and funny and oh so legal. Let's hear it for PC chair and seat. Though her title is not officially queen, then brings a majestic touch to the scene. She's able to lead with glamour and style and fields all questions while keeping her smile. In lieu of reacting when wanting to shout, she says something to think about. She helped the kids build out theater and sports, 2 successful programs by all reports. She took the helm during a trying phase. Revenue shortfall meant more to fund it. No more huge profit from the Bow Wow Chow, who said final farewells to that cash cow. Resolve and her can-do attitude, our parents' club mission was renewed. Lynn does not separate wheat from the chaff, but rather supports all teachers and staff. Always enthused and eager to help, she garnered the highest rating on Yelp. The same was felt back at Sleepy Hollow. Us presidents a tough act to follow. Time is nigh for tennis courts and golf holes, but we know she's not done with volunteer roles. So let's all get a shout. Let's get a loud roar for this dedicated Fab Mama 4. I'll say it in front of the Board of Trustees. Lynn's Wisconsin's best. She's the true big cheese.
Yeah, you gotta put that in a certificate. Yes. I feel bad, Alicia, we should have gone before. It's coming in a minute. Emailed it to you, just open it up, yes. Yeah. So, I'm here to talk about Alicia Keenan, and I'm very happy that I'm not talking about Alicia Keenan as leaving One Orinda, because everyone knows Alicia as the president of our One Foundation. But we're so fortunate to have Alicia in this community and her 5 children, who I think many of them are here. Yes. Half of our crowd. And we're so sad to see you graduate, even though you are just going up the hill a little more. I know Mirvani's lucky to have all of you out there. And as I mentioned, while Alicia stays on as a president of One, that is not what we're recognizing her for, because what we're recognizing her for is the director of voice. And we haven't done that, at least in my tenure here before, because I think you've been here with voice forever. Maybe that's what it is, but it's not quite the case, right? So I will say that students with special needs are some of our the more vulnerable students and deserving most support and individualized programming. And oftentimes parents of students with special needs often feel lost, confused as they navigate a very complex legal system. And as you enter education, and especially in early childhood, that's a very new system to you, and filled with all sorts of IEP jargon and legalese. And that's where Alicia steps in. So 8 years ago, I had it wrong, it was 7. 8 years ago, she was approached to revitalize voice, which is parents of Orinda individuals in special education, and she never looked back. So she has been an incredible leader, advocate, and support provider for parents who need all of what I just mentioned and more. She's been organizing monthly meetings, serving as a liaison to the district, between the schools, facilitating connections for all the parents, and really giving us a lot of input around where we could improve. And I will say we are so grateful to your input, because I think that we can thank you for many of the reasons some of our programs have improved. Alicia has been a fighter for inclusion, always on the forefront of making sure all students feel connected to schools, being part of all aspects of our campuses, and that all students feel that they have a part. She is not shy to give you input. She's a true New Yorker. She's a true partner, though, in developing programs, developing solutions, providing that critical eye and input on how to improve things. while representing her views, she's also able to look beyond just her personal and represent the views of others, making sure we are always working to the benefit of our entire community. Alicia has some really big shoes to fill. I believe there are 2 people that have been brought on to step in to do so, and they really truly have some big shoes to fill. Thank you for what you have done for us in this capacity. We're so glad that you're still such a large part of our school community, that you're not leaving us, and that you still have such a major role because our kids are so dependent on your knowledge. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations to each of the parents who were recognized this evening. I've worked with many of you beside on Parents Club before coming to the board. So I admire each of you and thank you for all that you've done. So thank you.
Thank you. I know I have a sense of how many hours you put into all your volunteering, and I know there's a lot that gets seen and appreciated and a lot that's not seen. And I thank you for all that's unseen, but that makes a huge impact on campuses for years and years and years and years. So thank you. You just do so much for our community selflessly, and it's really appreciated.
Yeah, I think we are aware that the school district is as special as it is because of the teachers, the staff, but also the parents and the families and this level of involvement. And I think for this group, this is sort of the pinnacle of that involvement, and we're very appreciative. And thank you. And yeah, I'm glad many are coming back or going into other roles because I think we know we all need that, and it's what makes this place as special as it is. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just echo all of that. And I mean, I served in your role about 10 plus years ago and here now. So, you can continue your role in other ways, giving back in other ways to the community. But it is, as others have said, our community would not be what it is if we didn't have our parent leadership in our schools. So thank you for all you do.
Also echoing many sincere thanks for all the hours. Stephanie, I remember when you were first asked years ago, and you're like, no, I'm not ready. And look at what you've done at Del Rey and all the parent club presidents. I mean, the time that you take away from your family to do what you do for the good of our community is sometimes thankless, and we appreciate you. So thank you.
5-minute recess. Thank you. All right, welcome back, everyone. Just wanted to remind everyone of our guidelines around public comment. At a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, the public may comment on items with the subject matter jurisdiction of the governing board. For items in the agenda, the public may comment at the time the board considers the agenda item. For items not on the agenda, the public may comment under item 6A, public comment. The Board of Trustees requests that individuals who would like to address the Board of Trustees on an item do so by filling out a request to address the OESD school board card and turning it in to the superintendent prior to the agenda item. Cards are available at the meeting. Comments are limited to not more than 3 minutes. Groups are asked to limit their comments to a total of 5 minutes. The board shall limit the total time of public comment to 20 minutes. To comply with the Brown Act, the board may listen to comments from the speakers, but can neither discuss nor take action on the issues presented. Are there any public comments?
There's no public comments on this item.
Great. Moving to item 7A, the resolution recognizing and honoring Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Right?
Yes, so this is our resolution that we have brought up in May, as May is recognized as Asian American Pacific Islander Month, that is part of our Heritage Month recognition calendar. I just want to say that our teachers recognize it in their classrooms by including read-alouds. We do assemblies and include this in the curriculum, and also with Sarah's leadership. We are developing additional resources and very structured lessons that we can provide to all of our grade levels, and that work is being done with a committee of staff members during the summer. So, but with that, we recommend to the board resolution 2527.
Wonderful, and we will write it. Anita, would you like to begin?
Sure.
Whereas in 1990, Congress voted to expand Asian Pacific Heritage from a week to a month-long celebration of the significant contributions of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders to the history of the United States. And in May 1992, the month of May was permanently designated as Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. And
Whereas the state of California is home to more than 600,000 students of Asian and Pacific Islander descent, transitional kindergarten through grade 12.
Whereas understanding Asian and Pacific Islander history is an important part of celebrating Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And
Whereas, despite the hardships and barriers of the past, the people of Asia and the Pacific Islands who come to this country and their descendants have made substantial contributions to California's economic growth and development and have woven clear, distinct threads into the state's social fabric. And
Whereas the California State Board of Education recognizes in its policy statement on multicultural education that each student needs an opportunity to understand the common humanity underlying all people, to develop pride in their own identity and heritage, and to understand, respect, and accept the identity and heritage of others. And
whereas Asian Pacific Heritage Month is celebrated annually at the local, state, and national levels. And
Whereas the Asian American and Pacific Islander community is an inherently diverse population composed of more than 45 distinct ethnicities and more than 100 language dialects. And
whereas in the Orinda Union School District, 20% of the student population identify as Asian, Filipino, or Pacific Islander. And
now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Orinda Union School District that May 2025 is designated as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month and encourages all schools to commemorate this occasion with appropriate instructional materials.
right, thank you. Any comments of the board?
thank you for bringing this.
Yeah, thanks for bringing this forward.
All right, this is, there any public comment?
there's no public comment.
This is recommended for action. We have a motion.
This is Hillary. I move that the board adopt resolution 25-27, Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, May 2025.
Katie, I second.
Trustee Anantava?
Aye.
Trustee Wiener?
Aye. Trustee Phillips?
Aye.
Vice President Shogun?
Aye.
President Collins-Coleman?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Moving on to item 7B, we have another resolution.
Yes, so it's our first time actually bringing a Mental Health Awareness Month resolution as decided again during the Heritage Month calendar decision back in August. So we're excited to bring this and recognize May as Mental Health Awareness Month. I could have coupled it with our wellness presentation, but it is wonderful that it is following our wellness presentation last month, our counseling presentation, because it does show how much focus has been placed on mental health in our schools and what incredible work we've been doing throughout our schools, especially in our wellness centers and in our counseling expansion at the OIS. So there's a need, and we'll continue to improve it and grow the programming for our students.
Wonderful. Edie, will you begin?
Whereas May has been designated National Mental Health Awareness Month in the United States since 1949 by the Mental Health America organization. And
Whereas the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that 13 to 20% of youth ages 13 to 18 have a diagnosed mental health disorder in the United States. And
Whereas the average age of early signs of mental illness is 14 when most students are entering high school. And
whereas an estimated 60% of students with emotional, behavioral, and mental health disorders do not graduate from high school, according to the U.S. Department of Education. And
Whereas National Survey of Drug Use and Health Data shows mental health diagnosis, suicide rates, non-suicidal self-injury, such as cutting and emergency room visits for students experiencing mental health issues are all on the rise. And
whereas the CDC has declared that suicide is the second leading cause of death among youth ages 15 to 19 years old. And
whereas the number of children ages 6 to 12 who visit children's hospitals with suicidal thoughts or self-harm has more than doubled since 2016, according to the Children's Hospital Association. And
whereas the University of Maryland Center for School Mental Health has found that educating staff, students, and parents in the signs and symptoms of mental illness is key to both an early intervention and dismantling the stigma surrounding health. And
Whereas addressing the complex mental health needs of our children, youth, and families placed upon our community and school is a critical responsibility. And
whereas schools that implement comprehensive mental health systems see improved academic performance, fewer special education placements, decreased disciplinary actions, and higher graduation rates. And
Whereas spreading awareness of the importance of mental health can help people realize the many ways in which mental illness impacts them and those around them, and can provide the opportunity to learn about available services. And
Whereas Orinda Union School District, through its unique approach to serving children and adolescents, is committed to caring for the mental health needs of children, youth, and families in our community. And
Whereas Orinda Union School District pledges to continually assess and improve the range of educational services provided by our schools and the district's employed mental health professionals to meet the varying needs of our students with mental health concerns. And
whereas the Orinda Union School District acknowledges that educating our students with mental health concerns requires commitment to meaningful collaboration with families, community members, and local health care professionals.
now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Orinda Union School District that May 2025 is designated as Mental Health Awareness Month and encourages students, staff, families, and community members to participate in activities, educational programs, and conversations to promote mental health awareness and well-being. And
be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Orinda Union School District commits to continuing efforts in providing mental health resources, professional development for staff, and policies that prioritize the mental health and emotional well-being of all individuals within our schools.
thank you for bringing us.
thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any public comment?
There's no public comment.
Board members, any discussion or comment?
no, I just appreciate, we did have the presentation last month about what we're doing in our schools, and I know that, we're continuing to evaluate other ways that we can, provide mental health support in our schools. So I appreciate that.
You certainly see the difference it makes, so thank you. This is recommended for action. We need a motion.
This is Eve. I move that we adopt Resolution 2528, Mental Health Awareness Month.
This is Katie, I second.
Trustee Amantavat?
Aye.
Trustee Mears?
Aye.
Trustee Phillips?
Aye.
Vice President Shogun?
Aye.
President Collins Coleman?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to item 7C.
Okay. So we actually have our chair of our committee coming up. So Dan here will present our annual parcel tax report. And while it seems it's a little late that we present and talk about 23-24, this is how it works. At the next meeting, the board will hear about from the CBOC committee about the bond. I'll just have you take it.
Madam Superintendent, my name is Dan Peer. I'm the chair of the Parcel Tax Citizens Oversight Committee. I was sure the standing room only
It's all for
audience
you.
was for our annual report, but alas, we'll carry on. Let's move on to the first slide there. So as a quick reminder, this is an overview of measures A, B, and C. And we'll get into that in a little bit of detail, financial overview in the report. Let's move forward. Important thing to give you a sense of scale on it. So between the three taxes, it's about $840 per parcel across the community. And it has a significant impact on the staff as we go forward. Let's move ahead. We deal with the audited and unaudited reports through the financial department to make sure we've got an adequate report coming out of this process. This is the final, and you'll see that it all goes to payroll actually in the end. Let's move ahead. So total revenues is approximately $5.8 million for this. Of note, with the addition of Parcel Z or Measure Z, that's about a $2 million increase. So significant increase year over year. Let's move forward one more. Matching expenditures to incomes, which is exactly what you want to see in such reports. Let's move ahead. And so the way we've seen it play out is this is significant in supporting the class size support in the district. It ends up accounting for approximately 45 full-time teachers in the district. So if you think about your schools, that's a lot of people. So it's a real significant play, and we see it in the numbers that we're going to get forward a little farther into the report. Let's move ahead. You guys know how we're doing as a district, it's a high performing district. Let's move past the 3. Actually, no, next one.
Okay.
There we go. So as you guys know, as we said, the core of the report is around supporting small classes in Orinda schools. We have the smallest, or are on par with the smallest on average class size in the county, which is a testament to how we're doing as a district and as a community. And let's go to the conclusion. We find as a committee that the parcel tax is being used appropriately, it's accounted for appropriately, and that Measure Z has had a meaningful impact and was really significant in the vote that you all took part in and helping with. Be happy to take any questions.
You're very efficient.
I know there's a rule about keeping board meetings as long as possible.
Right. Thanks for bringing us in. Thanks for like really careful stewardship of these funds. Everything looks great, and I appreciate it. I think it just underscores the importance of all this local funding here for us. Obviously, I guess. So thank you for being stewards of that funds.
Yeah, I would agree with Katie's comments. I mean, it's critical that we have these funds to be able to maintain what we have here. So I appreciate your comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Really appreciate it. And speaking of parent volunteers, our citizens don't get paid or any kind of compensation for being part of this
Do it for the
committee.
glory.
You do it for the glory. This is the glory moment. So thank you for doing that. There's no public comment on this, but this is for the board to accept, action.
Motion. This is Hillary. I move that the board accept the measures A, B, and Z parcel tax annual report.
This is Vanita, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Moving on to item 7B.
Okay, so we have a resolution 2529, which is titled as declaring property as exempt surplus land. We do have an attorney from Lozano Smith, Kelly Rem, right there. Did I pronounce the last name?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Who can support us in any answering any questions or possibly misspeak or any other information around this resolution. So what the resolution is a action based on the direction that the board gave the staff at the special board meeting that was held to discuss the nature area. We've had many presentations at the board and a lot of discussion over the last several years with regards to our stewardship over this wonderful property. And I think throughout those board meetings, there was a lot of discussion around how can we first secure the property as is right now, because there's a lot of funding that needs to go in there to make it safe from the damage that it had suffered through the storms, also throughout the decades of, there's some buildings there, there's other property needs that need to be maintained, and we need to bring it up to code if we're going to use it for programming, and we want to. And during that last meeting, we also, as we examined, not only do we need the funding to bring it back to where it was and up to code, but also ongoing funding that is needed to maintain the property appropriately, which the district does not receive any specialized funding and would need to be contributing significant funding from general fund, which just based on even this parcel tax, that we don't have. So there was a consensus at that special board meeting and a direction given to the staff that we would place about 15.9, just under 16 acres of the property. The entire property is 33.1 acres, which is the entire Wagner Ranch Elementary School. And then there's about just under 16 acres of it is designated as nature area. And that property, I just want to clarify, that area does not include the nature area garden, or really where what we would describe as that outdoor kitchen area or any of those properties, right? So there's kind of a delineation there.
So then we would place that property and examine how we can place it into permanent conservation. And that's what the staff did. So we've been working with our partners at Lozano Smith, our partners with the Rebecca Barkan's, Assemblymember Rebecca Barkan's office, and how do we place this in a permanent conservation so that we can conserve the property so that it cannot be developed, because that was clearly stated at the last meeting that we do not want to sell it to a developer. We do not want to sell it to an entity that could then change it into a developable property. This is, the resolution here is the next step in that process. What we were informed, and Kelly, please jump in if I say something off, is that we are for us to move forward in the next steps of negotiations. And the board discussed this in a closed session with the possible entity of negotiation in the last meeting, is that we need to declare it as surplus land. Then that needs to be approved by the California Department of Housing, HCD. And once approved, then we can finalize the terms of negotiation with the land trust, which will then buy the property and therefore take all the liability and maintenance from the district on themselves. And this will then be in full conservation with the land trust and not under the ownership of the district. And this is the first step in there. Did I say something wrong there?
No.
Okay, all right. So this resolution includes the legal language that is required. Sorry, the formatting is funky and how this happens. I have no idea how to move that over. Okay, this is what I was looking for. And what we're talking about is if this is the map of the entire property, if you think this is the corner of the blacktop, right? And here's the path between the solar. Really, we're talking about these two parcels right here. So then the garden and then all of this area would still remain under the ownership of the district. And then we would be able to obtain the funding from the state that we have been in negotiations with assembly member. Well, yes, if that's in the conservation, and then use that funding to clean up that area and reopening for programming for the district, for the students. Okay. I'm happy to have Kelly answer questions, and I'm happy to answer questions myself.
A few.
Yes, please.
So the driveway, do we need to indicate that we want an easement in this step of the paperwork?
So if we wanted an easement, Kelly, we need to make sure that we have, yeah, please come on up. We need to have an easement placed onto the driveway to protect it. Yeah. Would that be needed to be done in this step?
No, that would be done as part of negotiations. So as the superintendent mentioned, this is sort of a necessary step to be able to continue negotiating for potential granting of the property to the land trust and going through with that process, and any easements or conditions that the district wants to negotiate at that point, that can happen at that point. This is just a prerequisite to be able to have those negotiations and move forward. Just quickly for clarification for all, the Surplus Land Act is what requires this resolution, either declaring the property as exempt or surplus land or exempt surplus land. That act is actually aimed at promoting affordable housing, right? That's obviously not what the district, what I'm hearing, is what the board wants for this property. So this would exempt you from that process and allow the district to move forward with negotiations towards what the goals are.
Do we need explicit language in this resolution then to say that our intent is not to have this be affordable housing, that this is conservation? I'm just responding to your comment.
Sure. No, there's no need to do that. All this would do is essentially deem the entire property exempt from those government sections, and you'd be just done with that. As the superintendent mentioned, once the resolution is approved, assuming that it is, it gets provided to the state, to the Department of Housing and Community Development, and they have 30 days to come back and approve, basically say, yes, we agree, this is exempt, and then you're done with those provisions. Go ahead.
What happens if they don't approve it?
That could happen. I haven't seen it happen when you have a good, basis on which to exempt the land. But if that were to happen, there may be some room to try to appeal to them or, fight them on it a little bit. But if not, then technically it would not be exempt. And in order to dispose of it, you would be subject to the Surplus Land Act, which means providing a whole list of offers or notices to certain entities, including affordable housing developers, to then make offers to acquire the property.
And I was trying to understand this from the so I did do the read, but what is the basis on which we are able to?
Great question. This particular resolution is based on sort of what we see as a little bit of a catch-all provision, which a lot of districts we work with have relied on when there isn't another one that usually fits. And it has to do with a situation where the transaction would be generating revenue back to the district for the district's use. And so I understand that that's the purpose here, is that there would be revenue coming from the state, and that the whole idea behind this is that it would be beneficial to the school district to have the property maintained, in perpetuity for those purposes.
The last question is, this is not necessarily they'll compel us to reach an agreement with that particular land trust or any other for that matter.
Correct.
And we can reach an agreement with another entity if we felt that that was more beneficial for the district.
Absolutely, or you could decide to do nothing at all. This is just the prerequisite towards those steps.
And is there a is there a timeline when that has to happen? Like, what if we were to approve this today, when do we have to?
Does it expire?
Does it expire?
No, it doesn't. It's a step that has to be taken, and then there's nothing in the statutes or the guidance that says that approval is, good for 5 years, 10 years, whatever. Unless they add that in the future, it would be as long as you need to make those next steps happen.
The timing really relates to getting the state funds. That's the reason for this particular timing, right?
That makes sense.
And if we were to, can I just ask a follow-up on that? So if we were to if this resolution were to get approved and it's submitted to HCD and they approve it, we don't have to do anything with it, it's just approved.
Correct.
That timeline doesn't, even if we are negotiations and whatever else, we can just sit on it too.
Yes.
I understand the point, but I just want to make sure that timeline is not taking then.
Yes.
That approval doesn't expire unless the law changes.
Yeah, and we have no expectation of that happening. But as the law is right now, there's no expiration date on that approval.
And are there any other impacts to doing it? Like, if we decided for whatever reason not to sell the land, is there any difference in the way we need to treat the land? What uses we put the land to, clean up with the land, things like that? With this exempt,
You mean if
once it's been sort of approved as
decided,
if it's surplus exempt, does that
in any way
alleviate
impact
us
what
in
we
have to do? I don't think
Like
so. We're still the
liability-wise,
owners and we still have to maintain
Liability
it.
restrictions on what we can do to it, like, is there anything like that?
no, it
It
doesn't.
just purely sets you up to, or.
Right.
I guess I'm confused by that because the language in here specifically refers to the sale in some form to a land trust. So I would question whether we actually are obligated to do that, if that's the way this resolution was written.
I think that's a great clarification. So it's not that the resolution obligates you to do that, but the particular exemption that it's relying on would not then allow you to say, go out and sell to a developer without finding a different exemption. And it may, but the specific resolution is based on the potential sale, I'll call it, to the land trust. So if the district wanted to go a different way, you may have to go back and kind of revisit whether this particular exemption applies. And just to give you a really specific example, I just did one of these where a city and a school district swapped property, and we relied on a totally different exemption for exchange of property under the Surplus Land Act. Let's say you decided to exchange property with the city. I'm using silly examples, but the exemption in your current resolution in front of you wouldn't apply to that. So we would maybe have to go back and say, oh, we're going to rely on.
That's what I wanted to understand.
But it definitely does not obligate you to do anything.
answer your question.
For now, I'm sure we have some
In addition,
okay. Is there any public comment?
there is public comment. We have 4, so I will, so we can have Dan Phillips and then Bill Hudson after that.
Thank you. How you doing? Mine's a little more random comment, but different things. There's an article in the April edition about the nature area opening up. It had some erroneous comments, false ones about the Friends of Orinda Nature Area, Friends of Wagner Ranch Nature Area doing things independently. Never happened. Everything has been approved by the district. I know they always had knowledge beforehand and had approval to do it. Second one is, I actually emailed this to you a while ago. Tarleton State Architects, IRA 22, page 11. Greenhouses are exempt except for ADA. Right there. And I do have copies of it if you like. Other comment is about what you're talking about right now. I am hopeful. See what happens, but I do think it should have been given some advance notice. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Hudson, and then if we can have Kathy Barrett ready, and then followed by Steve Dansenberg.
I'm Bill Hudson. Based on this, what I've just heard, I've got some questions. First of all, are there active negotiations in progress that this is necessary? It sounded like there were. I'd just like to confirm. Why? And then I would like to also, it sounds like maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I think this resolution ought to clearly exclude development rather than the way I read it, if this falls through, that anything could be done with it apparently. So I'd like to be clear on whether that's the case or not. And then what if the school district, suppose we start using it for nature area uses, can it reclaim it if necessary? So those are my questions. And I'd like to read something that Aaron Bain, who can't be here, read. Sent. It said, I'm Aaron, a junior at Miramonte and vice president of Environmental Solutions Club. As a former Sleepy Hollow student, my field trips to the Wagner Ranch nature area are among my favorite memories of elementary school and helped develop my passion for the environment. During these visits, I gathered valuable knowledge about the Ohlone and Miwok culture and the history of Wagner Ranch, Orinda, and California. I also learned about science and environmental stewardship, particularly the importance of the native plant and animal species that live in the nature area. Given the habitat loss is primary cause of species extinction, it is imperative that the entire nature area remains undeveloped to protect the essential species, many of which are rare, threatened, or endangered. I would be incredibly disappointed if any portion of the nature area were sold for development, which would destroy this incredibly meaningful educational space for generations of students and critical habitat for numerous native species. I respectfully urge the board to ensure the permanent protection of the land through the land trust so that future students can enjoy and benefit from the Wagner Ranch nature area as much as I have. Thank you, and I think there's some hope we go back to Aaron with a little bit of hope. I'd like to make sure that it just goes to something that can preserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Miss Kathy Barrett, and then we'll have Steve Dansenberg.
Good evening, trustees, district staff, Superintendent Clinton, and all that have gathered to help students and education in the district. My name is Kathy Barrett. I've lived in Orinda for 50 years, and I'm co-president of the Friends of Wagner Ranch Nature Area. And I'm here today because I was encouraged to see your resolution D. And that the district plans to subdivide and involve itself with the land trust is something that we've had a goal to do for many years. So we are very encouraged by that. Whatever the district chooses to do, the Friends of Wagner Ranch Nature Area will continue its environmental education for the community and kids. So we see that as our ongoing mission. We've been doing it for 30 years. And clearly, we urge you to take the next step with the most care and caution. Please do your best to protect the nature area so that it may continue to be an outdoor laboratory for children to explore and learn about nature and science and history. It's one of our best areas of Orinda history. And I want to point to our Wagner family, which in 1920 held the very first 4th of July parade for all Orindans in their front yard, the nature area. And I think last time we passed out pictures of this, our friend Allison Burns, who's an historian, was just, so thrilled to see that our 4th of July parade started in the Wagner's front yard. So thank you for all you do for students, and I appreciate your listening to us. Thank you.
And Mr. Danziger.
Superintendent and members of the board. Steve Danziger, 30-year resident of Orinda. I just want to recognize Tourist Jaeger, who couldn't be with us today here. I think you all know Tourist, 40 years at the nature area. She's the keeper of knowledge there, and she felt that she couldn't come because she couldn't control herself. And so she's watching on TV, so hi, Taurus. So I'm more optimistic now that I heard the superintendent's presentation that you are working with a land trust. I don't know if we can share the name, but I had a statement prepared, and I think I'll just read it anyway. Shock, disappointment, and bewilderment. Those are just some of the feelings I had on Saturday when I routinely viewed the agenda for this meeting and saw that there was an item on there to declare the nature area surplus property. This came a week after the superintendent told me that in an email that their agenda for tonight was too lengthy to have an item on the nature area. So after 2+ years of dialogue between OUSD, FONA, and others, you can imagine that we felt blindsided. We just felt that this came out of left field, even though I know you discussed it back in February. The message we always had from superintendent and board members is that we have no intention of selling the property. We understand the value to the students and the community, and we want to conserve the property. And I hope that's where this is leading. But there's no guarantees. So this is the first step declaring it surplus, but there's still no guarantees that it's going to go to a land trust to be conserved. For some reason, the board or the superintendent didn't want to share any of this information with us prior. And, all the board members over the years have always said, we support the nature area being conserved. And I would have thought that maybe somebody would have reached out to maybe our presidents and gave them some kind of heads up that this was coming and we could have prepared. We do hear what you're saying. We're optimistic, but again, no guarantees that the nature area and the property will continue to provide the long tradition of environmental education. We want to see what happens. We want to be involved if we can. But I'll assure you that the community, once they hear about this, as well as FONA, is not going away. And we'll do whatever is necessary to assist you, but also to engage the community in the process.
Thank you.
More comments or discussion from the board? I guess just a question about next steps, if this resolution is approved tonight, what the next steps are.
So we're working with the representatives from Lozano to, if approved, to file this immediately with HCD, and then we're working with the assembly member to help us at the government, at the state level, and just to, not that we're answering questions, but yes, this is part of the negotiations process. So all those parties are absolutely in the know of what the board is acting on tonight, and the funding and moving forward. So the 30-day timeline is the maximum, right? So it could get approved much sooner, so that we can officially start negotiating with a potential partner.
And then with the, going back to the discussion around timing for the assembly member's office versus this, I know we're working with them to make sure the funding is.
Their contingency is the conservation of the land, which is our full intent. And I've said that repeatedly. And I think the board has said that repeatedly. They are not designating the specific trust. We've just put that, as Kelly has mentioned, in there, as that's how we can conserve the land permanently. And then as for, so that's, okay. So we're actually, really, that's what they have placed on us. The negotiations with regards to, partnership and land, that's separate.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Or who that is, or how it works, because this has to be approved for us to actually officially go into official negotiations with a land partner. That's why we can't go into that tonight.
Let us know as soon as hopefully
Absolutely.
everything is approved.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Yeah. Thank you.
Right, and just to be totally transparent, any negotiations or any agreement would then come to the board later for approval. So
Always
this-
comes to the board. Yeah. And a lot of those are legal negotiations that involve legal parties, and then we can't quite share those.
Right, but in terms of the
No,
final
I'm just saying
approval of the
outside of,
part-
when it comes to public sharing, they are legal negotiations.
Well, thank you for bringing this to us. This is on for action.
I just wanted to comment, because I haven't, I think I was pretty clear going in. That would help to answer any other questions that other board members asked already, so I don't have more questions, but this, just to reiterate, seems like a necessary resolution in order to continue talking about potentially putting part of this land into permanent conservation. So it's sort of a necessary step, which is why I support it. And it does follow what we discussed as a board in February in terms of our commitment to conserving the land. And the way those parcels are already partitioned helps in moving forward with that kind of action. But this is just a necessary step to be able to continue that exploration.
Great. Thank you. Again, this is on for action. So
this
I have a motion.
This is Hillary. I move that the board adopt resolution 25-29 declaring property as exempt.
This is Katie, I second.
Trustee Anantha,
Aye.
trustee Weiner,
Aye.
trustee Phillips, vice president Shogun,
Aye.
president Collins Coleman,
Aye.
motion carries.
Okay. Item 70.
Yes, and that will go to Dr. Inglesby will handle the next two items, ENF.
This current item, you recall on March 10th, I forget this, but we had a adoption of resolution 2516, which was to reduce or eliminate certain certificated positions. So with that adoption, we took action to reduce a number of positions at OIS, and one of them was one section of French. The other positions didn't affect employees into any part of their position or FTE, full-time equivalency within the district. However, there was one teacher, Diane Bodie, who was reduced a 0.16 or 0.16, which is one section of French. And so this is the final notification regarding that reduction. Diane the employee was noticed before March 15th regarding this reduction. There was no hearing called, and this is the final notification, and which we need to notify her by May 15th of this reduction. Any questions? This is the part 2 of our March 15th notices.
I just personally want to thank you for all your work on this and bringing this to, I mean, what we had talked about several months ago looked different, so.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any public comments?
No public comment.
Any other discussion from the board? All right, this is on for action. A motion?
This is Hillary. I move that the board adopt resolution 25-30 in the matter of notifying certain certificated employees of the decision not to reemploy or to reduce their hours for the 2025-2026 school year.
This is Eve, I second it.
Trustee Amantamat. Aye. Trustee Weiner.
Aye.
Trustee Phillips.
Aye.
Vice President Shogun.
Aye.
President Collins Coleman.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, this next item is also a part two from our March 10th reductions, and this is for a classified position of a 0.4 FTE behavior specialist, and this is the final notice regarding that reduction to one affected employee regarding the decision to reduce the position for 25-26. Questions?
Any questions, comments? No, just saying.
Okay.
Yeah, questions since it's part two. And any public comments?
There's no comments.
All right, thank you. This is on for action. This is Hillary. I move that the board adopt resolution 25-31 in the matter of notifying certain classified employees of the decision not to reemploy or to reduce their hours for the 2025-2026 school year.
This is Anita. I second. Trustee Phillips.
Aye.
Trustee Amantamat. Aye. Trustee Weiner. Aye. Vice President Shogun.
Aye.
President Collins Coleman.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And on to item G.
Okay. Safety plan. So a little late in the year, and I will go ahead and apologize for that. But there is an education code requirement that schools must adopt an annual safety plan. And each school must report on the status of its school safety plan and the school accountability report card, which we do, or known as SARC. Schools may utilize school site council or delegate the responsibility of the development of safety plan to a safety planning committee. And we'll talk through a little bit about our process this year, which was different than last year. And local enforcement and appropriate agencies are to be consulted as needed, which they have been. So our review process for this school year. So this year we engaged our school site councils. While last year we actually had a district-wide safety plan, safety committee, and site council still approved the safety plans, but really most of the work and everything was done at the district-wide level. So this year our site councils proposed goals that we are bringing to the board this evening, and then provided feedback, which really was a yes, let's move forward with these, and then they reviewed the plans themselves. The district, actually, the reason we didn't have a full safety committee is because we actually engaged a safety consultant that was recommended to us through Keenan. I'm Ready, the board approved that contract several months ago, and they did a full evaluation of the physical and social emotional safety on all of our school campuses, which actually included our full review of our physical campuses. They brought in visits, looked at it, brought us and gave us a full report, and then gave a multi-day visits and interviews of students and staff for our social emotional or behavioral safety. So that feedback was taken in, it was looked at. Actually, the social emotional feedback, the physical safety, we're still going through and need to do some follow-up meetings because there's a lot of recommendations that are like what must be taken in, what should not be. So we will be continuously reviewing that and meeting with that group. We have engaged in a collaborative and ongoing conversations with the local agencies. So I personally met with and our principals and our site staff meets with Moraga Orinda Fire Department. Stuart meets with them regularly. So MOFD and then Orinda Police Department. And they both have new leadership. So that relationship is ongoingly developing. So as both organizations have new chiefs that have received midway through the year. So brand new. So goals and actions are being recommended based on the preliminary safety review and those agency recommendations and staff input. And then those very lengthy safety plans that are attached really a lot of required policies by the state. So every single one of those policies was reviewed to make sure that it is up to date and what the CSBA is recommending, including some of the protocols were developed, like the opioid reaction protocol, which we don't even have CSBA policies yet, but we had to make sure that we have a protocol as legally required, or instructional continuation plan, which will be brought to you in a month, and so on. So some of the things that we actually have to start bringing before we even have policy. So here you have some of those components of the safety plan that are addressed in our other attachments. So, but what we've started doing a couple of years ago, instead of just going through those really lengthy documents, is focusing on our goals, so which are easier to digest and really keep us focused and prioritized, as opposed to going through all those policies. So these goals are very similar to what we were working on last year because we want to continue fine tuning them, and they really are very much in alignment to what those safety reviews the consultants came in and saw. So one is we will need to continue working on the emergency preparedness, then the physical safety, and then 3 and 4 are around mental health, wellness, and positive behavior support. So I'll just go into each one of those. So around emergency preparedness, our goal is that we will enhance our emergency preparedness by strengthening coordination with local agencies and improving communication across all school sites. District will refine existing emergency procedures, ensuring alignment of protocols where appropriate, foster collaboration with first responders and emergency management partners to enhance readiness and response efforts. I think what happened throughout the year, and these were clearly adjusted based on what happened in Southern California, and what was seen as their emergency response after the LA fires. And then as we saw the review of our, not safety plan, but emergency plans, were not in alignment. So while we know each one of our schools is going to have slightly different emergency response based on their physical plan, they do need to have aligned emergency procedures and communications. And what we saw is in that full review is that we don't have that. So that's why when you see the words alignment, improvement, communication, and then continuous work with our agencies, is that's what it's really coming from, is based on that feedback and then based on what we're seeing across the state. So we have gotten feedback about the emergency plan. Actually, the consultants have revised them. We just need to really clean them up a little more, make them our own. So that work will be done over the summer so that we can kick off the year with new plans. It's hard to, start new emergency plans in March or February. So we will also have brief emergency plans, meaning like very quick, half-page briefs out of those that every classroom can have, and that will start in the 25-26 school year. We really want to, our meetings with the local emergency responders are what I would call ad hoc. So with the police as needed, as things come up. I think, Stuart meets very regularly with the fire marshal, but the MOFD is also sometimes monthly, sometimes we don't. So we want to make sure that at least quarterly, we are meeting as 3 agencies together. And then the other meetings we can meet as needed so that we can have a really standing committee, so that all 3 of us, because sometimes we're preparing notes and it's just a little different what's happening. So I think with new heads of those agencies, it will be really good for us to meet on a quarterly basis and have a very, a stronger collaboration around emergency responders and how it goes from schools throughout the city. We also have so many emergency procedures in place that I believe our parents are not aware of. So we really want to strengthen our communication. So when we're sitting with parents and they ask us about some of our emergency responses, we as staff know them, we understand them, we deal with them. And I think our parents are not aware. And sometimes they hear about it maybe once, but those need to be constantly on the forefront and very digestible tidbits. So we really want to improve our communication related to emergency procedures. So every time our schools go through monthly drills about emergency, those should be always followed, for example, so that our parents are prepared as well. CPR and first aid training availability to our staff. We just talked about this cabinet today. Ensure emergency supplies are appropriately inventoried all the time, allocated to all classrooms and campuses. And then there are new fire safety requirements as of this school year going into effect next year through fire mitigation measures in all campuses. We want to make sure that those are in full effect because we have 3 schools in zone 0 in the high, I don't know, what's it called? The red zone.
Life interface.
Thank you. That one. That was not gonna, not what I was, it's not on tip of my tongue. With regards to physical safety, our goal is to implement best practices and procedures to ensure our physical safety of our students and staff before, during, and after school. So we're going to be explicit that we're talking about FASC as well as during school hours, with specific focus on enhancing campus security, improving our school grounds, and maintaining safe classrooms. We really need to evaluate our potential enhancements to student pickup and drop-off areas like carpool procedures. That was one of the things that we really noticed. It's noticeable. Our egress and ingress just don't have dividers during carpools, bollards, and all those things. So we really need to look at our physical plant. And that could include some additional physical barriers between cars and humans. And then our campuses are rather dark in fall and winter months. And that's continuously noted, even in some of the hallways during summer months. And right now, so we really want to address those dark areas and what's happening there. Fencing, not around the entire property, because that's actually not recommended by in the high fire zones, but we do have some areas of our campus that need to be delineated a little more, especially in the front. Some of our classrooms should not be the first accessible rooms, so we do need some fencing in some areas. Establish a locked door system. We are getting new hardware and new doors at 3 of our campuses, and then 2 other ones at the next summer. What does that look like? Doors should be locked during the day. One of those protocols. And then we, as board, approved the master facility plan, and safety is a big part of that. So that kicks off in August. So we really want to make sure that safety is a big focus on how do we improve our facilities with the lens of safety as we examine that. Any questions on those 2 before I move into like the social emotional side?
Did you have examples of fencing? You said fencing like for certain classrooms, like what? I don't know if you have an example of what that.
Yes, I can. You mean where?
Yeah.
So, I think I can
Like what's been recommended?
So I'll just say, for example, Wagner Ranch, TK should not be at the front.
Got it. Okay.
Unfenced. That's one
Yeah,
example.
no, that's, I just wanted to have an idea.
The reason I'm just hesitating like that is because
I don't need specifics.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
fine.
wanted to get an idea of what it's.
Would crossing guards fall under physical safety?
they should. We've checked them off in last year. So that was part of our actually goals last year to really improve crossing area. And they will be implemented starting in August, correct? At all.
That's great.
At 4 elementary schools. I do understand that the city's also talking about other safety measures. They didn't vote on it, but they're discussing like, raised crossing guards, crossing areas, so then, because our students hang around our schools, not just during school hours. There's a lot of activities during weekends when you don't have crossing guards or lit up signs and so on. So, yeah.
You mentioned the locked door system at each campus. Is that to the locked doors to the buildings or a locked fence around?
No, to the classrooms.
Okay, just confirm.
But if you do have a fence, it is supposed to be closed. Or otherwise it defeats the purpose.
Not all schools are fully fenced.
No, and we're not recommending
And we're not
that.
recommending
But if there is an area that was fenced in for a purpose,
yeah,
it should be closed.
So for example, the TK playground, it's already fenced, so that will.
And it is closed,
It is
correct,
closed, yeah.
yes. So there's an entrance where you go and check into the office and they guide you through the area, yes.
Is the locked door system, is that part of our modernization that we already have?
Locked door system is, so all of our doors are what they used to call Columbine locks, right? So you can
Right.
lock them in from the inside. You aren't supposed to leave your doors locked as a teacher to the classroom. So that should there be an intruder on campus, they're not just running into your classroom. So we really do need to implement that procedure and protocol.
My question is just more specifically, the doors that we're putting in our campuses, does it include that type of
They
lock?
include they have to by law, we all have
That's
Columbine
what
locks, yes. I don't know, is there a better name?
They also have indicators,
That's what they're called.
locked and unlocked, that make it much easier for the teachers to know that the door is locked. They don't have to go outside and check it.
Correct.
They don't dog the panic card where it's an actual locked, unlocked indicator.
Yeah.
Which is a huge upgrade.
That's great. So what happens? The student has to use the restroom?
Well, that's the reason why so many of our doors are
Yeah.
unlocked. Or doors just wide open for air and so on.
Stay outside.
Yeah, and some areas of the campus are blocked in, so those are things that we just need to evaluate and look at. Especially those that are accessible right there at the front. Because unfortunately, we had, as the board knows and the community knows, because we've communicated, we've had a couple, we call them intruders on campus that walked in from a street and either walked into a campus or actually into a classroom because they were wide open.
I have a question about these two goals, but more something I wanted to underscore a little bit was the collaboration with the police department and MOFD. And I think fire safety just comes to mind immediately. We start talking about safety plans, especially after the LA fires. And there's a lot of good goals and things to implement, but I just want to underscore the need to continue that collaboration, because if there were to be that kind of disaster, they would have to be on board and really know what's what across all the campuses, particularly the ones that are in this super high zone, but all of them. So I just want to underscore that I think that's just like a top goal that hasn't really been ironed out. And that the collaboration is just going to be critical.
Agreed.
I agree. Are there plans for a town hall of sorts?
Yes, parent community events to be scheduled, to be held within, I think, the first 3 weeks of school or so.
For the new school year.
For the new school year. Because that's fire season and that's new parents coming in. That's actually the highest attendance of our parents that we would have on both sides of the school district in collaboration with MOFD and OPD. Because to your point, collaboration is, the tight collaboration is so needed, because we as a staff are required, we're responsible for communication. We're responsible for evacuation of our own students out of the classroom, but actually police is responsible for evacuating outside of our school while the fire department is responsible for fighting the fire. So all three of us as the three agencies must work really tightly and understand what's going on for that to be working successfully.
Any other?
Okay, so I'll go to the last two, which are around social emotional health. So goal 3 is we'll strengthen and expand the implementation of multi-tiered systems of support to enhance student mental health and well-being, with a focus on active preventive measures and targeted interventions, and includes maintaining ongoing counseling and mental health support, develop and implement parent education series, review potential social emotional curriculum for pilot and comprehensive implementation, either replace or supplement second step, develop a clear MTSS model for social emotional support. And then we continue to bring the health education for 5th and 7th grade, because we developed it last year with support of a teacher, but really want to look at what else is there. So the reason this is brought in as as mentioned earlier on when we were talking about the mental health month, is we have a phenomenal counseling program, and that was really noticed and talked about by the consultant that came in. Her positive feedback to us, it was outstanding, which was really great to hear. And she talked about, visiting and talking to students who all brought up how they know where the wellness is, they know how to go in and get support everywhere. I mean, really elementary all the way through middle school. What was advised is that we really don't have one comprehensive curriculum to hold it all. When we talk about how we intervene in academics, it's a very clear system of what's tier 1, what's tier 2, what do we do? And while we sort of have that, we don't have that very clear delineation of what happens, what is our preventive education? What do we train our staff on? So that's what they said is really a focus on what we should do so that everyone's clear on what our social emotional support should be, what the students talk about, what is our mental health curriculum. Not necessarily curriculum when I say a book, but what is built here. So what is that comprehensive vision for it? So that's really what we were moving forward to.
Well, it's good to see that we'll continue the series, like the social media, especially and digital CC. I think that's really important. Those were the probably successful, sold out
Also,
within a minute.
very much.
Collaboration with Lafayette and Moraga, right?
Moraga. And also like social media has just been seen as such a huge factor in mental health. We have to. And then positive behavior support, also just around the same systematically implementing supportive school-wide programs. So we have so many different supports. What is the systematic implementation of all of those? Like what is the umbrella that holds them all? And then you can see the themes throughout so that it's all connected. So develop, implement comprehensive positive behavior matrix, clear school-wide expectations, implement key recommendations from that safety review, which we've received some, facilitate ongoing professional development. We're excited about some of those tools with the district behaviorist that we're hiring. Then centralized online resource center with strategies, tools, best practices to support our staff. And then we want to track these behaviors across where are some of the behaviors are not positive, it's positive so that we can understand better data and have better data systems. So that's that. Happy to answer questions on this. Raise your hand up.
Yeah. So for each of these categories, I assume it's a different group of people, but who's leading the work?
Does not have to be. We were hoping we could actually have one safety committee and then delete it to 2 that comes back. Because we didn't have a safety committee this year and it was actually missed. And I would say that I would miss the meetings of having more meetings, but it was missed to have a centralized committee that would discuss this. So there is an idea of having and we didn't have it all together last. We had a wellness committee over there, and then we had just like physical and emergency committee here. And oftentimes they would all overlap in what they were talking about. So it would be I would recommend to have one safety committee, and we could subdivide into different work, and then they would come back sort of in and out, right? Our counselors are working on the social emotional goals 3-4. We already have a scheduled retreat day right after school ends. I think June 2nd, Monday, yes, is already what we're tackling. Some of these going through step by step of what the recommendations are. So they have to be part of the leads in that work. And then, so there's a lot of us involved in all sorts of aspects of it.
I think some of them, particularly for goal 3 and 4, like you just mentioned, doesn't even need to fall within a committee work. That's my opinion, right? There's like already people doing that stuff that could be kind of put
Just
together
part of under
in the
safety.
goal, right? And just understanding that it's under safety, understanding that it should be spread across the whole district, and there should be norms to it and implementation different places. So this is just such a comprehensive list and lots of really good stuff to get done. So I just wanted to ask who's going to be doing the work. And it seems like
Always good
multiple people in
question.
multiple places, and maybe some beneficial through a committee and other parts unnecessary.
I think it's nice that the committee keeps it accountable and holds it, but the work actually, there's work for curriculum, there's work for facilities, there's work for special ed, HR. We need money. So
So you said there was a
And-
safety committee before. So who would sit on that committee? Teachers, parents?
We had representatives from classified, we had some parents, we had from each school site, we had teachers, we had nurses, we had, couple board members. Katie, I think you were representative, you and Colin, maybe?
Yes. And so does that committee then discusses things and then brings it, because you have to also involve fire and police
So
too.
they
so-
should actually be sitting. Yes.
Well, and potential city collaboration there too.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe.
So we
they
can have different
can-
components, yeah.
And this is something that will hopefully maybe come from our next 2x2
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
city.
We continue talking, so it's all
Yes.
part of it, right?
Any other questions, comments?
Well, thank you. I appreciate the way that you presented this year.
Okay,
All right, any public comment?
there's no public comment.
All right, this is up for the motion.
This is Hillary. I move that the board approve the comprehensive school safety plans.
This is Katie, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. And H, declaration need for fully qualified educators. Dr. Ingram.
Okay, here I am on an annual basis coming to you regarding this declaration of need. When we're unable to find a fully credentialed teacher or teacher with a preliminary credential, we need to seek someone with a limited assignment permit. And so the state allows us to come forth after you approve it at a regular board meeting, a declaration of need for fully qualified educators. So we're seeking 13 limited assignment permits, some 2 at multiple subject, 8 single subject, and 3 special education. This is just an estimate. Sometimes we are way under, sometimes we're right at the mark. We have to come back for a need for more. 13 is quite a lot, and so we're being generous with that, but we have a number of openings in those particular areas that we're seeking positions for. So looking for approval of our declaration of need.
Thank you. Any comments or discussion from the board? Thank you. Any public comments?
There's no public comment.
Okay, this is up for action.
This is Katie, I move that the board approve the declaration of need for fully qualified educators.
This is Eva, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, and we have item I, Dr. Inglesby.
All right, 7I. So at the board, at the April 14th, 2025 meeting, you took action regarding a increase for certificate staff, particularly OEA members, counselors, teachers, for a 1% salary increase. And so what we're looking at is a similar increase for what's called unrepresented, and that includes certificated management, classified management, and confidential staff. Unrepresented school psychologists, speech language pathologists, communication specialists, food service coordinator, behavior specialists, and BAS personnel. And what you have before you is the district's AB 1200 disclosure documents. The county office concurs that the district can afford the proposed 24-25 increases for the FFA non-represented employee groups.
Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Any comments, discussion from the board? Public comments?
No public comment.
All right. This item is up for action.
This is Hillary. I move that the board approve the 2024-25 salary schedules for certificated management, classified management, unrepresented, and confidential employee groups.
This is Katie, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. And next item.
All right. And this is one, when at the April 14th meeting, the schedules weren't quite prepared, but now we have the teacher and counselor salary schedules, and you have already approved the 1%, so this is just approving the salary schedules. So, yeah.
Comments, discussion from the board?
No public comment.
All right. This is up for action.
This is Eva. I move that the board approve the 2024-25 salary schedule for certificated teacher and counselor groups.
This is Katie, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And finally, we come to item K.
Stuart.
At the December 16th, 2024 board meeting, the new STC portable classroom was approved to be placed at Delray Elementary School. To determine the contractor for the installation of the portable, the district held a formal bid process. A mandatory pre-bid lock was conducted on April 3rd, 2025, with 8 contractors in attendance. The bid opening took place April 29th, 2025, and 2 bids were received. Following a thorough evaluation, Sandstone Environmental Engineering Incorporated was determined to be the most responsive and responsible bidder. So we are recommending the board approve award of a contract to Sandstone for $270,000.
Thank you for reading this. I know this is a necessity for our meeting. So any comments, discussion from the board?
Just to be clear, this is purely a contract for, or a bid for the installment of the.
Yeah, that includes trenching for all the utilities, again, the water, the electricity, all that.
Okay.
Stuart, we approved at the last meeting, I want to say the rental, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Now that's, in fact, we have a date, June 19th is when that's supposed to arrive.
And
Go ahead.
You say it will be installation be completed this summer as well? Yeah. But this is
it best, it best be.
The answer is yes, it will.
Does Sandstone say how long it would take?
Pardon me?
Did Sandstone say how long it would take to install?
Oh, I'd have to look at the contract. It's definitely by the end of July.
A lot of construction at Delray.
Sorry?
A lot of construction at Delray.
Yeah, we held a coordination meeting. We were very happy that we had contractors, Sandstone, one of them is not even under contract, that showed up for the coordination meeting along with the playground and Rodan with the modernization to discuss logistics, laydown areas, who's got access to what. It's very collaborative. Everybody seemed to understand the logistics, need to work together and cooperation. I was very impressed. I was very pleased.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that everybody can play nice.
Will the public be made aware that all these campuses are basically going to be off limits this summer?
We've been communicating with our public and then the city knows, and there'll be fencing and notices and the neighbors. I think Stuart's been visiting the neighbors.
I went and visited the walkway to the south. I forget the name of the road. I went and introduced myself to both neighbors because
On La Bonita?
yeah, there's a wooden fence down there, so I wanted to give notice. So I had this little laminator notice. I went and met them and told them what I was doing and why. They were actually kind of happy. It's going to be closed for a while.
Oh, so they think.
So I put the notices up. It's just informing them that, hey, this is going to be closed. Here's why. We appreciate.
So the whole cut path will be closed for this.
Yeah, the trouble is, I was hoping that we could kind of leave it to kind of go around the school. It doesn't. It dumps right into where all 3 contractors.
No, it totally makes sense. Just back to the notice point. I think a lot of people use that for.
Yeah.
We have tried, the city knows there's no activities. We're gonna fence it off. Neighbors, our parents.
But it should be back open by the school year.
Oh, it has to, yeah.
So a lot of marijuana students, I think he said. So,
Yeah, so.
Great. Any other discussion, questions? Any public comment?
There's no public comment.
All right, this is up for action. Do a motion?
This is Katie. I move that that the board approve the award of a contract to Sandstone Environmental Engineering, the installation of the STC portable at Delray.
This is Vanita, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Do we need to take anything? No? Move on
Okay.
through. All right, item 8A, special education.
Okay, so I will do the moving of the slides and Stephanie will do the presenting.
Thank you for approving our portable and then being able to build it. We're very excited since, we've been telling families they're going there. It's nice to have a building to go to, so thank you. So we wanted to take tonight to talk to you a little bit about some of the highlights and successes of our program this year, some updates as to what our enrollment trends are, and to tell you a little bit about our funding and our expenditures, because I know you see a lot of our funding quite frequently on these board meetings and why we have that. All right. I'm going to skip that one. Go to number 4, please. Thank you, since it just says what I just said.
Oh, I already moved it, but I'm
Perfect.
just following exactly what you're saying. I'm reading your mind.
It's hard when it's behind you.
Okay, yes.
So this year we have 2,594 students enrolled into our school district. Out of those students, about 254 students have IEPs, which is about 9.8% of our population have IEPs. That's very comparable compared to all of the neighboring districts. If you look, last year was about 9.6, 22-23 was 9%, and 21-22 was 8%. If you're looking at why it went from 8% up to almost 9.8%, it's because there weren't as many assessments being done during the pandemic times. Pauses were put on them. And then also some families wanted to wait to do the assessments because they didn't feel exactly safe yet.
And what did the numbers look like pre-pandemic?
Pre-pandemic, we're in the 9 range.
Okay, so.
Yeah, so it's coming right back up to what it was pre-pandemic. Yeah. So breakdown by primary disability. So our main reasons why people are qualifying are SLI, which is speech and language impairment, and SLD, specific learning disability. OHI is about 19%. That's ADHD, students with health impairments, students who have a variety of health impairments and ADHD all go into that other health impact. The speech and language impairment has increased drastically. If you look 21-22, it's at 3%, 22-23, 4%, then we went to 34%, and now 35%. A lot of that is because we have younger students who are qualifying for speech and language, and it can go back to their fundamental foundations of learning language. We all have masks on. And so there's quite a large number of students who are qualifying who need speech services because they didn't properly learn how to form their words or how to make all of their sounds. If you look at our early education program, our preschool program, a lot of our students, almost all of them have speech and language combined with it. I think another part of it is we've also become better at identifying students. So before, when we look at students, a lot of them qualified under specific learning disability, when yes, that could have been part of it, but as you dig deeper, we're seeing that a lot of it had to do with language. Maybe they didn't understand the nuances of language, pragmatic language, they didn't understand how to express their emotions or their feelings. And so they were lumped into that SLD when really it was they needed help with their speech. We do have 1% that falls under intellectual disability. We work really hard not to qualify students under ID if we possibly can. Those are students who are really significantly below where they should be when we assess them. So we take it, that's a very serious one. So we really look at students and look at, are we digging deep enough? Are there other tests that we need to do that are going to show a different reason why they qualify? If a student qualifies for ID, we're going to qualify them, but we really never want to label a student with that disability unless that's really truly what they qualify for. So our teams are excellent at looking and talking to parents about really doing additional assessments if needed to truly hone in on what area of needs those students have.
There's a market difference just in the way the numbers came out between 22-23 and 23-24. Was that, I remember, like, were the staffing changes, process changes? Like, it feels like.
It's a variety. So it is, so this year we had, for the first year in a few years, we had district employee speech pathologists. So you had more of a continuation with the speech pathologists who are all on the same page in how they do assessments. They meet together, they go through, they have discussions about the students they're assessing to make sure they all are on the same page with that. You had a few different teachers who rotated through, but you also had, if you look at the students coming in, it goes in waves. And so like we're seeing a higher number of, like I said, speech and language, and also a higher number of students who are qualifying for autism as we are assessing right now. And so it's also looking at the tests have been, the new Woodcock-Johnson came out this year, the KTEA, people started using a couple of years ago. So new tests have come out that have changed the norms. And so really looking at what specifically it is. Just like a student can have a medical diagnosis of autism, but that doesn't mean you're going to qualify for school services because you have autism. So it's really looking at what are your medical diagnoses and is it impacting you in school?
What does OHI stand for again?
Other health impairment. So based on breakdown of ethnicity and race, in our district, we have 8.13% of our population is Hispanic, and about 10% of those students have special education. Native American or Alaskan, we have 1% with special education. Asian, 11%. African American, 2%. White, we're at 59%, and two or more races are about 17%. And there are different tests that we can give based on a student's ethnicity. And so we really talk to parents about that as well, because sometimes there's confusion as to why we can't do certain tests. And so we have to explain that based on state laws, these are the tests we're allowed to give, and this is the reasoning why.
And Stephanie, correct me if I'm wrong, we're looking really kind of as a equitable representation. We don't want to overrepresent students in one area or the other, or underrepresent, right? So maybe also we want to make sure that we're not over-identifying or under-identifying. So that's why we're looking at different race and ethnicity when we're looking at this, specifically this slide. And remind us for this year, but last couple of years, we were put on notice by the state for over-identifying Hispanic students, but that's not the case this year.
Correct. This year we are found to be not disproportionate. So it's really looking at, okay, do they actually need special education, or is it just they need help in their classes? And so we work really closely with Sarah, with Tabitha, and looking at students if it is a language issue or if it's an actual special education issue. We have a few students right now that we're working very closely on. It's a struggle to figure out, is it a language issue? So we're having to test in multiple different languages. We're having to get our assessments translated, just really do our due diligence to make sure that someone isn't placed in special education because they don't understand the language. They might be able to be perfectly confident if they are native language, and that's what we want to help them in. So it's a lot of investigating because we don't want to qualify someone who doesn't need the services. All right, so our current service models. We have the EIP program, which I know we talk about a lot, which is our preschool program. We're partnered with Moraga to serve students who are ages 3 and 4. This includes a special day class in mild, moderate, and intensive settings. There are 18 students in the SDC class currently, and there are 5 Orinda students receiving speech-only services. So they don't go into the class, they just come and do drop-in services as speech-only. We have ISP. All of our schools have ISP, which is also known as resource to other people. It is the dedicated specialized academic instruction where the special education teacher at the elementary level is either pulling the students out to work on their goals, or they push in to help the student in the classroom work on those goals, and they're helping the teacher. There are weekly meetings with all the special education teams to work on upcoming IEPs, to talk about students who we're looking at assessing, and to really look at goals and how we're measuring goals, if we're measuring them properly. At OIS this year, we have 4 ISP teachers. And so their class sizes, they have a specific period that has the students working in there, they work on their goals. Sometimes the students get a little frustrated because they think it's a study hall where they should get to do all their homework, but we work on goals. We work on our Orton Gillingham Sunday program for the students who need that enrichment. And we also work on classes and tests once all of that work is done. So it's really working on, okay, your IEP is saying these are your areas of weakness. Let's work on that. Let's try to get you to close the gap. SDC, we currently have SDC at OIS, and it's a moderate severe special education credential. Students attend general education classes, but use the SDC classroom as their home base currently when the general education class isn't appropriate. So sometimes our students become dysregulated in the general education classroom, so they go back to the SDC classroom to try to work on the assignments. And then out of district, we have students in non-public schools. So to move a student to an MPS, we're really looking at, can we serve the student here? And if we can't, what are the needs that they have that makes it that we don't have the ability to serve them here? And so we have 5 students who are currently placed in non-public schools that specialize in, we have an intensive program that we have some students, and we have mental health programs. And so we know that that's an area that we really want to work on, is strengthening our mental health support. And then just students who are very unique and who need that extra assistance. They just, no matter how hard we've tried, don't fit into a regular classroom here. And then we also have 2 students placed in the Lafayette School District. One is an intensive elementary student and one is a counseling enriched student. We had 2 students who were there at the beginning of the school year, but we were able to bring them back to the district, and knock on wood, it's been very successful so far. So we're very excited about that. So next year, the EIP program is restructuring a bit, and they're going to split up their classes into 2 teachers. So it'll be 2 teachers. We're currently working with them because it's a Moraga program, but we're partners, and having a clear definition of an AM class and a PM class. So in that way, currently you can have students in the AM, students in the PM, and then students who stay all day. That's very confusing for the students and also not really working and what it is that they need to best serve them. And so we're working on revamping that, reshaping it, and causing smaller class sizes for them. So that will roll out this fall. The ISP model, we aren't changing
Is there
anything.
a clear number of hours the preschool is supposed to be?
There's not a set one. What we currently have is about 3.5 hours. So for students who are staying that half a day is 3.5 hours. The students who are staying the whole day, they're really there from 9 until 2:30. And so that's a really long time for 3 and 4-year-olds. And we're also really looking at.
That's not based on some sort of a mandate.
It's not based on a mandate, no, not at all. It's really based on, they were saying, hey, your student needs a little bit more, so we're gonna keep them longer. And so we wanna look at, okay, let's utilize the time we have with them by breaking up the classes to try to put students together who need to work on similar things. And that will be much more strategic and really help the students. Because when there's too many students in the classroom as well, it becomes chaotic for the student. And so it's really working at structuring it a little bit differently to help those students. And then we also have the issue with the TK schedule changing and the ages that can go into TK. So it's really looking at each student in the preschool program individually and deciding, do you need another year of the preschool program or are you ready to go to the TK program? And if you look at the current preschool group that is going into TK, I would say 1/3 is going into general education, which is fantastic. And then we have about 6 students that we're recommending the special day class and really working on how can we help them so they can get out of that faster. So SDC, as we've talked about, we are opening up a TK through 2nd moderate SDC at Del Rey. The maximum caseload is 12 students and it's about 3 students to every 1 adult. What we're working on is making sure that those students have a spot in a general education class based on their grade level. And so that when they go in there, they have their desk, they have their spot that they go into, and we have our staff go in there. So we're not just pushing them in there and saying, hey, have fun. We're going in, we're supporting them and really increasing their time in general education as they're able to. So each student will have a different schedule based on what their abilities are to go into that general education classroom. But they all, no matter what, will start out doing recesses and specials with their general education peers. So we're very excited about that.
And their time in the classroom will mirror what?
Yes, so it's the same
schedule.
Same schedule, yes. So we're mirroring all the schedules, all the TK through 2nd will have the same schedules as everyone else. Yeah, we just know that TK will be in the AM so we can have them all together. Yeah, and then we're also enhancing our SDC program at the middle school. I feel like this year really showed us that, like we talked about, students change. We've had different batches of students constantly. And this group really needs to focus on having more time in that special day class and working on their curriculum. So it's general education curriculum that's modified at their levels. So we have an online curriculum program that takes those gen ed topics and you can adjust it based on each student's reading level. You can also look up things based on their interest and really focus on improving their skills that way. 3 periods of 4 is very difficult for most students. And so when you go in and you feel like it's topics that are above your head or you're really struggling with the pace, that can cause you to have more behaviors, to really start to have self-doubts about yourself. And so we really want to help strengthen their knowledge and strengthen those goals that they're working on by having this environment. And we're also opening it up to students in Moraga for students who would like to come in that fit that program. And in return, Moraga is going to be working on strengthening their mental health program, their counseling and enrich program at JAM. So we're working together on increasing our middle school priorities.
We have an idea of how many students that will be?
Right now, it's still looking like 5. So the max will be 12, but right now it'll be 5, maybe possibly 6. We're talking about another student in Moraga, but it's not going to be anything substantial. And it's really also working on each student individually. So if you're really good at art and that's something you thrive at, like, we're going to push you out to art and give you support to be able to do that. If you're really good at math, okay, let's push you into math and slowly add in as much time as we can so that you can do that class. So we really want students in general education as much as possible. We just had a situation this year where I don't feel that the support level was where it should have been for them to be successful in the classroom. It just caused them to get really dysregulated, and we don't want that. We want students to be confident in what they're doing. We want them to be happy to be in the classes. So that's what our focus was. And then right now, out of district placements, we have 1 intensive student at Lafayette and 4 NPS placements still as of right now for next year. Areas of success. I came in here and heard all about the Dog Week, and we love it. We're going to continue it. We're getting ready to start having some meetings on how to plan for it next year, but really looking at ways to bring the community in. We have a lot of ideas as to how we can spread it out throughout the year. So have the week, but then also look at some of the great organizations we have in Orinda to see if we can do things like a movie night or a night at the park where we just have opportunities to have time together. Like I mentioned, 3 speech pathologists were hired at the district, and that's amazing. Not only was it a cost savings, it also has made it so that they take pure, pride and ownership in the students here, and they really feel connected to the teams. I think that's wonderful. And they also have the same, they're more willing to stay because they feel like they're part of the community, and they are wonderful. They love them. They're absolutely amazing. We had a decrease in outside agency staff and an increase in district staff, which was a very big deal. We hired 12 new SSAs this year to replace agency staff, which is fantastic. And we are working on increasing structures and putting structures in place and I can't even think of the word, trainings, thank you, trainings to help with promotions, to help people go from an SSA 1 to an SSA 2 for the next year. So we're really focusing on that for next year. And then California Department of Education moved us from a targeted level 3 for performance elements to a targeted level 1 for performance elements. So that's wonderful. That means that we're turning IEPs in on time. We're meeting our compliance deadlines. We are really doing what we need to do for the state to be found compliant. So that's fantastic. Areas of growth, like we talked about, strengthen our SDC classrooms, increase training for SSAs, continue and increase special education training for general education teachers. A lot of times when we're out there, general education teachers will try to come on my PD days to our special ed training. So I'll be like, oh, but this is for a specific test. This doesn't benefit you, but we still talk out the issues that they have. We really want to help set up trainings throughout the year that they're able to, or even drop-in services that they can come in and talk about things that are going on in special ed and any questions that they have. And then also we're working on increasing parent education opportunities for the next school year. All right, special education staffing. So this year we had 9 ISP staff members, 1 SDC, 3 psychologists, 3 speech language pathologists, 35 SSAs, 3 SSAs too, and 12 contracted aides. So we have a lot of staff for special education, but it's okay. We have a lot of good staff, and that's what's outstanding. And then financial stability, we brought back 2 students from the outside districts. Like we said, hired 12 SSAs and hired the 3 speech pathologists. Areas for growth, timelines to follow through in order to support in-house testing, so decrease agency testing. Sometimes when this time of the year is the busiest time for special education, our teachers can become overwhelmed with the amount of initial assessments that they're asked to do, and they ask for outside help in assessments. So it's really working at the beginning of the year to work on calendaring the ones that we know that we're going to have, to try to add more time for those initial assessments that are going to come on. So we have been really fortunate and found some wonderful outside assessors, but I'd like to not use them as much as possible if we can. And then we're trying to recruit for district SSAs. I got a message earlier tonight saying, hey, we have someone who's interested. So we'll be calling them tomorrow and just really try to make people feel like they want to be a part of our team. And then staffing for hard to fill positions as well as substitutes for staff on leave. We know that this was a very unique baby year where we had several people out on maternity leave. So really looking for ways that we can have backups when we need it. Any questions?
Questions, comments? Thank you for this really comprehensive report. This was really, we haven't actually quite had this kind of report before, so it's nice to see. It had one question just about IEPs versus 504s, you know, like what percentage of students that are in this program are getting IEPs versus 504s, and what the staffing is, you know, related to each of those. And
I don't have the number off the top of my head. I'm sorry about 504s, but I will get it for you.
Yeah.
None of the students who have IEPs have 504s. And so it's just we're working really closely with Moraga and Acalanes to streamline our 504 process. So when students go up to the high school level, we're all on the same page with 504s. And so that's the big training that we've been working on, and we'll continue to work on that next year. I'll get to work for 504s, yes.
Have you found someone to run the SDC program at Delray yet?
We're working on it. We've interviewed some lovely people. We're in the process, and we have Yes.
some candidates.
We have some really good candidates.
And then our students who are in the SDC program at Delray do they have access to BAS?
Yes.
They can.
Yes. And I'll be working with Kiva on working on ways to help her staff and to see what we need to do. And the goal is also, we have TK through second. Our goal is if we have the need to have a field of 3-5, so there's a continuum. So we don't have students going all over the place.
No, I just actually want to reiterate Hillary's comments. I really appreciated both obviously the information that's in here, but it was displayed this way to show really great progress, which is really exciting to see because it's an area that needed that. And so thanks for all the work moving us forward.
Yeah, same. Thank you. I think this is the first time since I've been on board that we've had a full presentation about special education specifically. So it's really helpful to see it all in one place and see the growth like Eve said. So one question is around this SDC class at Delray. So in terms of implementation and what, there's a lot to do before they show up on campus, but how many students are you projecting at this point, and what do you see as like top priorities for getting that off the ground?
Right now, we have about 8 students that we're in the process of making offers to. So we've started making offers. We are taking some families on tours. Obviously, they can't see the classroom, but we're showing them the campus and showing them what the playground looks like and all of that. Really going through with them, working closely with the Delray staff. The Delray staff already has such an amazing special education staff and presence on campus, and Maple is wonderful at making everyone feel welcome. So it's working with them, working with Sarah as well to make sure that we're, have all the general education curriculum proponents as part of it. And so Maple's already started conversations with their staff. The general education teachers know that the SDC students will also be coming into their classroom. And then we're working on some trainings for before school starts and right when school starts to help make it a smooth transition.
You're ordering furniture.
And we're ordering furniture.
Important stuff.
Yes.
And materials and those things.
Yeah. I don't have any other questions, but did also really appreciate the comment and support helping gen ed teachers with whatever help they need regarding their special ed students, because they are with them all the time. And a lot of the strategies are just good teaching, but being aware of that is helpful. So I think that it's really valuable PD for them if they're asking.
Really fantastic comprehensive report. And it's great to see, as everyone has said, the movement and the acknowledgement from the state as well on the success of all that you've done. So thank you. Is there public comment?
We do. We have a public comment. So Kate Munding and Emily Waterbury, are you coming as a partnership? Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening. We are Emily Waterbury and Kate Munding, incoming director of employees, the parent support group for families with students in special education in our district. We want to thank Superintendent Glimme, Director of Special Services Stephanie Caparuso, and the OUSD board for shining a light on the district's special education services. Many Poise parents are especially excited to see the district bringing back the special day class. It's incredibly valuable for families to have their children included in our schools with siblings and neighbors and friends. We're glad the district is still committed to DAW as one way to further our school community's education around inclusion. And we encourage you to continue to investigate ways to further support students with IEPs and their families, especially in times of transition. So from elementary to OIS, OIS to middle school, or OIS to high school.
I'll just continue saying thank you for this report. Having a report like this is vital for our community, as it often serves as a first step to analyzing and strengthening our programs. We would encourage the board to look into any achievement gaps that might exist between our students with IEPs who should be at grade level with their typical peers. And I know that that has been presented in other reports, that there's about a 40% gap is what, according to the CASP test scores. And so just something to look at. When we recognize the significant opportunity gap between our students and their peers, we can explore systematic approaches that may help evaluate our students' success. So again, Poise is thrilled that the OUSD leadership
dedicated their time and resources to this report. We look forward to collaborating with you to ensure that every student receives the support they need to thrive academically and socially. Together, we can transform our district-wide motto, which I loved seeing as I walked through the doors earlier this evening, that everyone belongs at OUSD, and taking that from a motto into a measurable reality for all of our children. So, thank you.
Thank you.
If I can just say, thank you, Stephanie. We'd like to actually plan these at the start of the year. I think there's a lot to say. Stephanie, welcome to the district. What do you know about us? Present it. But it is a lot to add something in May like this to the board agenda, and it is actually to the comments of the parents. Would be actually nice to frame the year in this when the task results are coming out. We're talking about assessments, and we're launching the DAW Week to shine on what we're doing, our successes and improvements. So it's always been our idea to do this towards the start of the year. And since we can't, we can actually bring in more of the financial analysis as well. So instead of waiting till next May, it was our intent to bring this back and do an annual report a little sooner so we can discuss clearly with you about agendizing it either September or October. So kicking off the DAW and shining it again and bringing in back the financials, because then we'll have closed the books as well. So
That will be wonderful.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
it's good.
Okay, right, moving on to item 8B, legal services. Nika.
Yes, this is a quarterly report for the current year. It's third quarter. So far, we have 123,000 expenditure, and it's about 35 to 55,000 quarterly. But it seems like fourth quarter, we have more expenditure. So we are projecting to end the 24-25 year with 200,000.
Any questions, comments?
Sorry, it's projecting to end with 200, so about.
Around 200,000, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you for bringing this, Nika. Okay. Any questions, comments at all?
No, thank you. I just think it's important that we, review this quarterly like we do, so I appreciate it.
All right, any public comment?
There's no public comment.
Thank you. Moving on to item C.
So this is also the quarterly report for OPEB, trust funds. We contributed about 10,000 and we earned about 11,000. So the increase is 21,000 from last quarter. And the net return percentage went down just a little bit. And the suggested contribution amount is 1.3 billion.
Wonderful, thank you. Comment, questions, discussion?
No,
Any public comment?
No comment.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
did you have a question? Okay. All right.
Moving on to Measure E&I implementation.
We're very fortunate that we've got Vincent Solomwitz Winterton has been working very closely with Nika and our business department to put this presentation together. So thank you very much, Vincent, for
happy to be here. Good to see you all again.
Let me know. Go for it. Start talking, I'll move.
Well, we all know about E&I, so we'll move on to the project statuses. Most of these items are completed, and in closeout, we'll update the completed items as we roll through each individual project update. For the new projects, for the modernization and the 30s wing at OIS, these are all in progress and have started. For Delray Glorietta and half of OIS will be done this summer, as you know, and then Sleepy Hollow, Wagon Ranch, and the other half of OIS will be done the following summer. The 30s wing renovation, we just completed an evaluation of the space itself, and the new renovation for the 30s wing is in design right now. So we will hopefully have something to take a look at shortly before we send it off to DSA for approval. For the district.
Just on a side note, I just met for LCAP input with ODS students, and they had asked about the 30s wing, and I told them what was going in there. And these were 8th graders, and they were so livid that they don't get to use it. They thought that was the best idea because they have nowhere to sit and eat during cold weather, and they just thought, so they're in true like middle school fashion are absolutely like upset that other kids get to have this great space and not them, but that also is like great input that we have
I'm sure we've all
designated
visited-
that space for the right usage.
Yeah, I'm sure we've all visited an alma mater and said, this wasn't here when I was here.
Right.
It's not there.
Is there like air conditioning?
Yeah.
Right. Can I ask a quick question? Since we're still in the design phase and it still needs to then be approved, does that mean it probably won't start this summer?
Oh, no.
It will not.
No, it'll be during the school year that, or,
So depending on what the contractor has within their schedule. So to minimize costs and to best utilize the resources we have, this will actually be done by change order to Rodan, who's already doing the modernization, as they'll already be on site in that area and doing work the following summer. And it'll allow us to manage it as a combined project with the modernization, so we don't actually have to bring anybody else on board to do it either.
okay, so you'll get that same comment from this year's 7th graders, like why?
Pretty much. But yes, some of it may be done during the school year, some of it may be done during the summer, or maybe all of it will be done during the summer. We're not entirely sure until we know the final scope of work.
Thank you.
Right, this is the updated program schedule. We've updated it to reflect the recent changes to the overall modernization schedule and a couple of additions of some smaller projects throughout the district. Right, so for the overview of budget, for Measure E, so some of these numbers have changed significantly since a lot of the funds have now been encumbered since we brought on Rodan to perform the work. It should be much closer to what we had projected previously. I know there was a bit of uncertainty as to, like, I hope we have enough money in the bond to do this, but now that the funds are encumbered and we have final pricing, everything does fit comfortably within the bond budget as shown in the numbers here. So the only items that is of any concern right now is the balance for the multipurpose room. However, that shortfall is offset by multiple other projects coming in under projected expenditure, and it will then cover any overage due to the fact that the multipurpose room kind of took over, and then we're still dealing with some warranty issues now. Then for Measure I, same thing. We have our encumbrance and the projected expenditure. We are still looking at extra funds. We are still looking at a small surplus based on the balance remaining on it. However, we are hopeful to use most of any of the overages in the 30s wing, and then hopefully have some left over for handling other smaller projects that are wanting to be done throughout the district. As it's just an encumbrance and it's not actually being expended yet, all of these monies are still accruing interest. So there are considerable increases over the next several quarters that we'll get to utilize funds for other projects. As shown in the summary here. So we did increase. So since last year, there's about an extra $1 million from interest accrual and closing out some projects that can be utilized for other things. And we're hopeful that after this summer, the contingency set aside by the contractor won't be fully expended, and it will allow some other small upgrades to the campuses throughout the modernization.
So, but just to be clear, we don't have an estimate at this point of the 30s because it's still in design, so we don't know how that's going to be.
Exactly. We had a conceptual drawing done for the contractor to take a look at and ask them to give a rough order of magnitude pricing and if they think they have the capacity to perform the work. They gave us that pricing and it was within the budget and said they could perform the work. So now we have sent it back to the design team, HKIT, to actually.
Within the modernization budget, the
Yes.
existing okay. So the 3.3 is outside of that then?
Some of it is.
Okay.
So within it, what's not accounted here is during the budget planning for the modernization, there was a contingency held by the contractor within their contract to allow for ease of use during the summer, as the work is too fast paced and too difficult to get or to approve before they do work. However, there was an additional roughly 1.2% of district health contingency, which is, it's unused, it's unencumbered, but it is earmarked for use in case the contingency for the contractor is insufficient. We don't believe it will be, but it was just a conservative measure to make sure that the work would get done. So it was also kept in place in the event that during this summer's work at Del Rey Gloria and OAS, if we encountered some issues, it would provide for lessons learned at the future work for OAS and Sleepy Hollow Wagon Ranch, that if we knew that further work would be necessary at those sites, we would have additional funds set aside just in case we needed to bolster the contingency over there before the work started.
Thank you.
So for the Sleepy Hollow NPR, as we said, it's completed, but it is in warranty. We're dealing with some warranty issues with the landscape and the plumbing out on site right now. And then for OAS Student Services, we are in warranty. This is closed out with DSA as well. There are no further, it should be financially closed out also. We are doing our 11th month warranty walk. So we're walking the site again about a month before the warranty expires with the contractor to make sure that the building is performing well and it's up to the expectations of the staff as well. So any other small items we will have addressed pretty shortly. Let's break down the cost there. For the mechanical upgrades, this is completed and closed out. We did just receive a few DSA invoices for final closeout of these with the state. Otherwise, that's the only thing to mention here. And the items here for the projected expenditure and the balance, as Swinton came in and we're trying to figure out the budget numbers that were done several years prior to us being here, they were unfortunately best guess. But again, as we rounded out to final closeout, those numbers should round out to effectively zero, as the projected expenditure was accounted for again in the overall budget when we were procuring for the modernization. And then this is the breakdown currently for the district-wide modernization. The projected total expenditure does also include the contingency values for the contractor. So should they not use a good amount of the contingency, all of that will again go back into the contract and be remitted back to the district for future use. So do keep that in mind, and it's roughly 8% of the contract. All right. That's all for the financial portions. Does anybody have any questions specifically about any of the projects or the work, or any logistics questions about the sites?
I have a question about, and I think we talked about them before. So the new windows this summer.
Yes.
About window treatments. Where does that come into play, considering they'll be bright and light blasting through those new windows?
Window treatments, we cannot install because if we did, it would have to go through DSA. They would mandate motorized screens, which would be a huge expense. So they cannot be part of this project. Even trying to put them on before DSA closeout would trigger it. So the plan right now, it's not perfect, but we're going to leave what's up there. So there will be some blinds. We're looking into window film. We're seeing if we can supplement with that, but we also have to look at any warranty issues as far as putting film on. We can't affect the warranty of the new windows that are being put in. So that's all stuff that we're discussing right now.
And then once the project's closed out,
once the project's closed out, then we would look. We've already been talking to different contractors as far as coming up with a standard, probably similar to what we put in the student services building, and trying to get that priced out.
Remind us, is the project closed out after these two 2.5 schools or after all?
Well,
5
the
schools?
nice thing is each school has its own DSA
Got it. So each school
application.
wants
So
to-
as a school is closed out with DSA, we can go in and do it.
Yes.
So OIS,
OIS.
Wagner,
Got it.
Glorietta, we can't do anything until after summer 2026.
Any other comments, discussion?
Is Glorietta over 2 summers?
Did I, if I said Glorietta, I did not intend to.
Oh, Sleepy Hollow.
OIS,
Okay.
Sleepy Hollow, Wagner. Yeah.
I know that's.
Only OIS is the 2 summers.
That's it,
Yeah.
2 summers, yes, right, okay.
But we won't really know our excess, our remaining balance till 2026 then, is that, or will we have a better idea of?
So following this summer, we'll have a much better idea as specifically with OAS. But we will obviously know between Delray and Glorietta what contingency is remaining from that work. For OAS, we'll have a much better idea as to the condition of everything underneath the underneath the paint.
Right.
Once the demo is completed on half the buildings, we're mainly concerned about the rooftops and the upper windows and seeing a lot of dry rot in those areas. But if the dry rot is not as extensive as we think, or does not cost as much as expected, again, yes, we will have a much better idea as to how much of that money will push into the following summer. If we have any sort of extensive damage, we will obviously document it, and you'll hear from me about it.
Give it the good news.
Oh yeah.
But that's why we kind of upped our contingency, knowing that if we get through this summer and kind of have a sigh of relief, hey, this is looking like it might be okay, then we'll have a lot more confidence on projecting.
And as this
We may
summer,
lose.
as problems arise this summer, we will be able to preemptively deal with issues that we know will be coming up at other campuses as well. Certain details and certain items will already be designed ahead of time if there is an issue or requires redesign. So it will not require duplicative work again the following summer. So while there may be more contingency expended during this summer, it will result ultimately in less contingency being expended the following summer because of it.
I guess part of my question just relates to, we've approved doing a facilities master plan and understanding when these dollars will be used, and then, looking for additional dollars for whatever we find as part of that. So just trying to understand that timeframe.
So, as soon as the summer work wraps up and we have a better idea of the numbers, we'll definitely put a report together and give the board a much better indication of how much funds are remaining to use for the facilities master plan.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
It's gonna be a really busy summer, so thank you both ahead of time. It's exciting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank
Have a
you,
good
thanks,
evening.
appreciate it.
Nine meetings, okay.
As you know, 2024, Orinda USB contract with Gillen NBC for district-wide technology upgrades, PA system upgrades, and security cameras. Due to unforeseen conditions and supply chain issues, there are two PCOs on this change order, one for new electrical circuits costing $26,156.06, and another for a no-cost time extension through June 30, 2025 to complete the project.
Thank you. This is on for action, correct?
Yes.
So any discussion?
I was just gonna ask, how is it that we found out about the need for the new circuits in particular?
Well, the UPSs that were on order initially have to be incompatible with the system. And so subsequent to that, the correct UPS units were ordered, but the circuitry was not compatible with the existing circuit or electrical outlets in the NDF and IDF rooms. So it was kind of a kind of cascading series of events. So
Understood, okay.
we are.
Sounds like some Michael projects.
Any other discussion? Any public comment? There's no comments. This is on for action. Any motion?
Mrs. Hillary, I move that the board approve Macmillan Data Communications Change Order 07 in the amount of $26,156.06.
This is Katie, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. All right, we're on to board policies.
Yeah, all of these board policies have been updated based on either new laws or that have passed in the last year and based on the recommendations from.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments? In the board policies, any public comment? No comments. This is on for action.
Maybe I move that we approve board policies A through I. Oh, sorry, B through I.
B through I. B, yeah. Second, Mrs. Gallery. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Moving right along. Invitations and announcements.
Yes, we don't have anyone here from CSEA, but we do have Mr. Shannon from Orinda. And Mr. Brennan.
Yes. Good evening, I'm Charles Shannon. I'm the newly elected president of the Orinda Education Association. And my partner over here, Sean Brennan, is continuing on as our vice president.
Congratulations.
Yes. As president of Orinda Education Association, I stand before you tonight to express my deep appreciation for our retirees we've honored this evening. It was a wonderful occasion. I thank you, Brian Wilsby, and anyone else who contributed to this evening's. I loved the pairing of the retirees that we had with our volunteers. It's just nice to have us all together. We do our work together, so to see us in the same room, celebrating each other. It's beautiful. So thank you all who took part in it. Their years of dedicated service have left an indelible mark on countless students within the Orinda School District. And maybe they were in other districts as well, I'm not sure. But it's amazing how many lives they touched and brought joy and fulfillment to our students and the rest of us in the community. So it's amazing. And we really wish them a joyful and fulfilling retirement, many years to come. And we love to some. So we're hoping they come back and reconnect with all of us within our classrooms. They made some of our finest substitutes that we call at all times. We also extend our sincere gratitude to the ongoing parent leadership for their invaluable volunteerism and collaborative spirit. Their partnership is essential to the success of our schools. When we're in our committee meetings, for example, I was in a budget committee meeting, Sean joined me. It was just amazing to see the work of one and other stakeholders in the district. Hearing each other really helps us to move forward, putting our thinking together. We have a creative group and we're able to, tackle some pretty big things. So thank you, Aida, for making these committees happen and bringing us all together. We felt like it was very productive for us as OEA members to hear the perspectives. Most of the time shared perspective, other times some new things come up. And it really helps us to see things a little differently. So providing perspective is really important, so thank you. Furthermore, members of the Orinda Education Association deeply value the recognition of Mental Health Awareness Month. We know firsthand the critical importance of supporting the well-being of our students and staff. Our members are committed to fostering a positive and nurturing environment where mental health is prioritized. We commend the board's commitment to providing resources and promoting open conversations around this vital topic, so we appreciate it. Thank you. As we acknowledge Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, we celebrate the rich diversity within our student body and community. Our educators are dedicated to ensuring that the histories and contributions of all cultures are recognized and valued in our classrooms. With the end of the school year drawing near, Megan Natal said we only have 14 more days. And I told her that gives me a lot of anxiety. She does the countdown and I know when report cards are due and our author's tea and getting all those realistic fiction stories written so that we can share those with parents. It's just this is a really tough time for teachers. So you see us frantic and the kids running around because they're looking forward to summer too already. They think it is summer in the classroom.
Not today.
It's a really busy time of year. We do a lot at the end of the year. May is incredibly busy. And so just any kind of support you can give us would be greatly appreciated. We do want to express our sincere gratitude to our dedicated staff, students, and families for their hard work and resilience throughout the year. And we look forward to a strong finish and a very restful summer. And I mean that. Everyone needs to take some time to rest because we've accomplished a lot. We continue to accomplish a lot. But we need to take some rest. So everyone make a commitment to take some rest with your families. So on that note, is there anything you want to share? All right. So we thank you all. And again, it was an incredible year. So much positivity and a lot of hard work, and things are looking on the up. So thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Great. Happy update?
Yes, I thought it was 13 days. I think it's 13. So I don't want to scare you more. But
That is 13 now.
Yes, sorry.
But who's counting?
And we only counted because it is a lot to do in the 13 days left. So there is a lot of end of the year busyness coming, and we're still hiring, and we're still finishing up and wrapping up things. So all to be culminating in OIS promotion, which we will be sending all the details to you as we conclude this year. But with that, I know that Brian, you had a quick announcement.
Yes. Just as we're in the celebration mood, last month you passed 2 resolutions. One was to recognize California Day of the Teacher on May 14th on Wednesday. So it's a Thank Your Teacher Day. You can read this, thank a teacher, all of that on Wednesday. And then Classified School Employee Week starts next week as well. And we're planning as a administrative team to head out to the schools on Monday, to the school sites about lunchtime to Charles, John, Wendy. We're heading to the schools on Monday, administrative team to give you a little celebration Yahoo, okay? On Monday the 19th. So it's between the 2 celebrations, the 14th and Classified School.
We were saying we have a whole week and we have
Yeah.
Are you gonna give us a month?
Yes.
No.
July. Make sure you take it off.
So celebrate our
They're
staff.
teaching summer school.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And yeah, that's it.
Okay. Board updates. So, maybe would you like to?
Do I get to start first?
Yeah.
Last week we had our last equity committee meeting, which I think went really well. We went through the LCAP. And then tomorrow I have the 1 meeting.
It's been busy. I think I participated in 3 different LCAP. So I bring all of that when we have the LCAP come back in a few weeks. Appreciated Sarah organizing the field trip to the one workplace. What's the name of it? Oh, I got it. Okay. I thought that was just a great day, just in terms of, having different interaction with the teachers as well and really getting their input. So I appreciated that. I don't know where that's going to go in terms of our future, of what our classrooms are going to look like, but I appreciated the opportunity to be part of that. I wanted to congratulate our superintendent on her, and yes, on your doctorate. And I am excited to come back to Glorieta with my graduating high school senior on Tuesday, whatever that day is in May, for her to do her cap around. But none of her teachers are still there. Really, I should say hi to everybody else. But yeah, the next few weeks are going to be busy.
Let's see, so yeah, last week made it back to Wagner Ranch, so good to visit the campus and also in at the nature area. I think that right now everyone's just looking forward to, looking forward is the right word, just a lot of excitement around the last day of school coming up very soon. So looking forward to that and all the activities that come with that.
Let's see, I attended a budget committee meeting, I think that was in the last month, and wrap that up. I think that was also a productive committee and the final special education committee meeting. So we looked at some more LCAP data, which is helpful. I'll be at the mayor's meeting tomorrow morning. And I'm looking forward to the OIS promotion. I think that's a really special event. And congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll add another congratulations just because I went to see you firm. And I think since the last, I'm looking forward to OIS. That's always fun to see the kids and the family all very excited about graduation and promotion. And I think since the last time, Vivian and I had a board coffee. Yeah. And so looking forward to the 13th day left. I can't believe the 13th days left of school. But congratulations to everyone. That's all well done.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. To calendar to 12A, B through Y.
Contracts with them too.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a time of the year where we just have a lot of renewals. So we're sorry for so many different contracts that will be tonight, June, and August.
Just to see the.
Yes.
Any questions, comments?
No, this is Hillary. I move that the board approve the consent calendar.
This is Katie, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And we come to future agenda items. Is there anything for the next two board meetings that we'd like to add?
Are we not going to talk about the day change?
We are. That's the board meeting schedule.
Oh,
So that's the action, and then we'll do the discussion. Yes. So that's what that is. So tentative conversation. So yeah, really the June, we try to have this little conversation that affects everyone out there because everyone's gone by that time. But we do have a mandated conversation around LCAP and our proposed budget. Sarah will also present the literacy update because we do have to bring in an adoption of a diagnostic screener. So that's why that's coming in June. And the committee just finished a pilot recommendation, which is great. The CBOC committee was just not ready for the May update. That's why they requested to present in June. Otherwise, they usually are in the May. But they are going diligently through a lot of spreadsheets and have been meeting here in the subcommittee. So, and the June 9th meeting is really just any revisions that you suggest to us at the June 2nd meeting, we bring back to you for action. So,
thank you. Any questions, comments? Okay. And we come to our final item.
This is Hillary. I move that we adjourn our meeting.
This is Katie, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We adjourn. Thank you.